So, Street Talk this week then, and as we were just saying earlier on the podcast, we watched it separately this week. Monday and Wednesday's episodes. I was about an hour away from Gemma. You were making copious notes on your phone. I was making notes on my laptop.
I haven't made copious notes.
Well, some notes.
One of them has got swearing in it.
Oh, has it? Oh, okay. I can't wait to get to that. I literally do. I do not know what you thought about those episodes whatsoever. I've avoided asking you, and there have been a few little developments that I'm interested to know your opinions of. Right. We just watched Fridays together, didn't we? So we've had a few exchanges of words about it.
Do you want to know some of my amazing observations that I wrote down?
I'm actually quite curious.
Right, okay, so one thing I've written is, during the same scene of the interview, Kit says Viaduct Street.
I noticed he said Viaduct Street as well.
Which is so weird. I've never heard anyone say it like that. And then later on he just says Viaduct Street. He didn't say Viaduct Street.
Yeah, get your intonation right.
And in the same scene,
DC
Alia,
Green,
who I was thrilled to see again, I'm sure you can imagine, comes and says and calls her client Ratcliffe, not Radcliffe.
Did she? Did she really?
I was like, they could have done that scene again. If I was the director, I would have gone, no, can we say I can't even say it properly now.
Viaduct Street.
Viaduct Street. It's like when you say New Forest. That's not how you say it.
Do you did you know that Alia was coming back this week?
I think I saw somebody saying Alia's back.
I'd seen a couple of posts
I was still
online.
surprised because I forgot I read that.
Yeah, I think that was the same with me. I think I'd seen some posts online alluding to the fact that her return was imminent, but I definitely didn't know she was going to be back in Wednesdays, and there had been a little bit of forgetfulness. And we know that she's been back working for a couple of months now. But yeah, when she just swanned in, it's like, oh, that was without fanfare, wasn't it? And now you're working for the bad guys.
See, I'm sure a lot of people think I'm playing a part when I say I forgot this or I forgot that or I don't remember spoilers, but I genuinely am incredibly forgetful. So there you go. That proves my point.
Any other gems amongst your notes this week?
Chesney is such an effing idiot. Why did he park his car like that?
I wondered that.
And then I wrote,
he's just been petty.
The ironing board is a mechanical marvel beyond Chesney's comprehension because he couldn't work out how to put it up properly. I also wrote, why should we care about the quads anymore? Because on Wednesday, it was like they didn't exist. And then on Friday, he finally remembers that they're there and they're throwing up everywhere. And he suddenly needs childcare. Why didn't he need it on Wednesday, but he needed it on Friday? I don't care now. And I also don't care. I guess
Bernie was around on Wednesday.
I also don't care about his money problems anymore because the pair of them are so irresponsible.
I remember about a year ago when we were... I can't remember whether we'd been involved in an online press Zoom thing with Coronation Street or whatever, where Ian McLeod or whoever had been talking about here's what's to come for 2024, sorry. And they'd been like, oh yeah, money problems, more problems for the Winter Brown family, but don't worry, rich auntie, what's her face, Linda, is going to swan in and save them. And it's just on repeat. And I know that poorness doesn't get better if you're poor. Poverty doesn't get just miraculously solved. But it feels like when they're thinking of what storyline to do for that family next, it's how about one where they have money woes? That sounds fresh and original.
Their day-to-day life is completely unaffected by like the problems with jobs and money and babysitting. But then every so often they'll make it a plot problem and then remind us. But what about the other 50 episodes of the year when it's not a problem? It doesn't make any sense. Also,
they could at least have the common decency to be comedy poor, like Stan and Hilda was.
Is that unacceptable now? I don't know. But Swan, going off to... Also, I took a screenshot because I couldn't believe it this morning. I had to rewind it and put the captions on to see that I was reading this right. Portsmouth's supposed to be really nice. Compared to what? Compared to who told you that?
Gemma has disappeared off to Portsmouth this week. I can't remember why she said she was going to Portsmouth.
Because she's
got a mate
sad.
there.
She's gone there.
She's gone to visit Peter.
She's sad, so she's gone to Portsmouth. And look, the person... I know we've got somebody who lives in Portsmouth.
Who listens.
And I have to say this because I'm from Southampton. Portsmouth said dump. And you know you'd say the same thing about Southampton, because that's what we do. We hate each other, but really, we're all brothers
the
and sisters.
Southampton-Portsmouth rivalry is only rivals itself, the one between...
Liverpool and Manchester.
I was going to say Weatherfield North and Weatherfield South, which I'm sure are bitter rivals.
So this is why I'm saying I don't care about them anymore, because if you're so poor that you can't, he's crying because his stepdad's died, but he's also worried about money and he doesn't know where the next penny's coming from. I'm sorry, but you don't have the luxury of going to Portsmouth for a week to be sad. You just don't. Most people get 2 weeks off for bereavement, and that sucks. I think that's awful, and I wish that it could be changed, but you got responsibilities and you're not helping yourself, so I don't feel sorry for them. Again, I've given up now. I don't care about them. Remember a few weeks ago I said it's like evil Tories wrote this? I just want to clarify, I did mean evil Tories, because I don't think that Tories are evil, but there are definitely some evil Tories, just like there's some evil Labour people, evil Liberals, evil right-wingers, whatever, but it's like a bunch of people who wrote for the Daily Mail put together this storyline to make them look like shirkers and layabouts. This is like the most badly conceived storyline for trying to drum up sympathy for a family that's supposed to be struggling.
I am a little... I'm more than a little fed up with it. I was reading some people online saying, what's going on with Dolly Rose? Has she gone away? Has she taken a break from the show? And I don't know whether... I didn't look into it too much, because again, I do try to avoid spoilers, honestly. But yeah, people were under the impression that Gemma's not coming back soon. And she's gone on a little extended break.
There are fantastic ships.
Like Corrie characters I want to do somewhere.
In Portsmouth. She's going to have to go back more than once to really get the proper value
I don't know how much Gemma would really appreciate the Portsmouth dockyards.
I think she'd probably like Gunwharf Quays more.
Yeah, but she's got no money to spend there.
She'd just steal it like she did the children's shoes. Remember when she was so poor?
She'd probably go up the Spinnaker Tower, wouldn't she?
She couldn't afford £30 to buy a pair of children's shoes for her giant-footed child. But now she can just take, months off because she's sad.
Any other nuggets?
I've also written,
notes?
I think, I like Roy and Ryan by the bedside. That's great.
I'm glad that some of your scribblings were actually positive about the show.
And then I've written, Leanne was nice for one day in her life, and now she's never going to do it again. Because she was nice on Wednesday, wasn't she?
Yeah, but yeah, I'm much more looking forward to seeing what's going to be happening next with Leanne now that she's discovered the truth about Nick and Toyah together, and the prospect of her and Tracy maybe doubling up to enact their revenge on the pair of them is certainly getting me salivating.
Tracy's like, look, I don't know how you're going to think about that, what you think about this, but you could bash him over the head with a statue. They did take mine away from me, so you're going to have to find your own.
But yeah, I wonder what she could use. What is there in
I'll tell you what she could do. Here's an idea. Set up Sam's
telescope. She could use the telescope, couldn't
right,
she?
Listen. And put it outside on the balcony, and then Nick comes out and she goes, look Nick, over there, you need to stand here on the balcony to see. And then when he goes and looks, she just swings it round and it bops him off the side and he falls to his death.
Maybe we should get to this when we get onto the story, but yeah.
Well, I can't think of another way of doing it. Maybe she could make him eat that onion that keeps appearing in the idents. That's probably rank as hell by now.
Right. Well, I think maybe he does. That's why his face is always scrunched up.
Been eating raw onions again. I don't know why I keep doing it.
Anyway. Look, so this week I've only kind of got 4 stories down, but there's always, as always, a little bit of intermingling in them. So I'm starting off with the Swallow Their Pride story, which is the latest in the...
I think you're going to have to think of something different for this.
Why? It's good.
It just sounds weird.
No, it's... None of my... Okay, some of my puns do feel weird. I was going to put it as some kind of play on Connor concussion, the fact that she got bopped round the head on Monday.
You normally would just do that.
Connor concussion.
Carla Connor's induced concussion.
Yeah, there we go. That's our first story this week. But that's also going to include the fact that Alia's back and already making a beeline for Adam.
Alia's back and she's like, sorry, I'm so busy, I'm being boring, I can't.
We have then got...
I've got paperwork to do.
We've then got the Toyah Nick's Leanne's boyfriend, which is my pun of the year, and it's going to keep on going as long as this story does. But I've also got a /Lesless, because poor old Les Battersby. I didn't have much time to think of a pun for this one. I didn't know whether it would like have Les Les
Less
is
of Les.
no more, or less of Les. There's probably tons that you could do, but we're going for Lesless for the time being.
Toya gave a shout out to the Midland.
Hmm?
Toya gave a shout out to the Midland
Did she?
Hotel, yeah.
What did she say?
Well, they're like, oh, you're at Chariot Square. She went, oh, it's hardly the Midland.
Oh, I forgot that. The Lauren Justice storyline, which I'm sure means something, is going to be next, and Revenge, which is just.
I thought you spelt it wrong.
No, this is the revenge. The revenge of the Van Man. It's like I don't know what was going on.
I got confused. Yeah,
No,
I thought
this
Leanne.
this is Chesney's. Yeah,
What is going wrong? Do you think he's got some kind of brain problem and he's developing?
No, he's
paranoia.
Is there actually a van going after him? I don't know.
What an utterly
bizarre.
stupid, idiotic thing to do. You don't own the parking space.
Look, we're not on that story
When
yet.
someone goes in a parking space, yeah, it's annoying, but you don't get to just block them in, and also the other two people either side of them, you stupid idiot. And then he's like...
And I think there were some other spaces nearby as well that you could have
he
gone
bashed
into
me to get out of the space. Yeah, because you parked in the way, you div.
Yeah. Anyway, look, we got hours before we can talk about that
I'm
meaty
furious with him this
storyline.
week. What an idiot. Honestly, what an idiot.
I would like you to take the lead this week, darling, and take the Carla getting bonked over the head, Carla Connor concussion story, and all the dramas and relationship ups and downs and ins and outs that have been there. So what's been going on with our lovely Lisa and Carla this week?
Is Betsy and public enemy number one this week?
I have actually, because...
Who's the stupidest person of the week?
Because I have been somewhat knackered this week.
Chesney.
I have actually forgotten quite a lot of what went on
Well,
Monday
I'll tell
and
you,
Wednesday's
'cause I've just
episode.
seen it.
So remind me what happened, and then I'll tell you what I thought about it.
I'm baffled by this. Swain and Betsy, they're mad at each other. Is it because of Betsy had a go at Carla in the pub, and so Lisa and Carla broke up? Is that it? Is that why?
Yes. Yeah, she wasn't happy, was she, to hear that her mum and her boss had been at it.
And then she said, "You're not replacing my mum." So anyway, Carla walks past, and Betsy says, "Oh, can I get something from the factory? I left something there." And the Warner Brothers are in their car going, "Yeah, we're the evil ones."
We did have one person saying they really enjoyed the Warner Brothers.
Well, they've kind of graduated, haven't they? From
they've worn. They're the Dunner Brothers. At least for one episode, they're back to doing a bit of warning.
Well, he did warn.
He warned Lisa
Swain.
in the car today's episode, didn't he? Took a photo of her.
And he also warned her that he might have killed her wife.
Oh yeah! Can you warn someone of something that's already happened?
Oh, warning! Warning! Retrospective warning.
The retrospective Warner Brothers. They are a bit Looney Tunes, aren't they? These two.
Yeah.
I just want when they get banged up for Kit to go. That's all, folks.
And then you'll look into the camera and go, some of you will get that. Right, so Mason has been summoned to the cafe by Betsy. He's so thirsty for this bloke.
You'll find that in my notes this week, there's a lot of people summoning places.
I like
they can't
it.
just talk on the phone or text.
No, he does come in and go, "Oh, what do you text me for? I don't want to meet you." Well, don't come then. Just reply and say no. Anyway, so he's like, I don't want to be seen with you because my brothers will go mad. And she says, "No, I've made a deal with them." And then Sally comes over and starts twittering on about this bowling day that they're doing. Which, honestly, this is another harebrained idea, isn't it? Who ever thought that this lot needs to go bowling to be friends during work day?
The Underworld staff are in no need of team building activities.
No, like they're already organised as a team that are like against you.
They already talk
multiple times throughout the history of this factory. And also, aren't they all shareholders as well?
Most of them are, yeah. I want to know how Dirk got on. I think he's a secret pro at the bowling, I reckon.
Well, Sally hates it.
Perfect strikes.
Sally's like me. I hate bowling. I hate mini golf.
I think that...
It's so boring and stupid.
I think Sally actually does like it. She is of an era... You know, when bowling alley...
she doesn't like it.
When bowling alleys were... I mean, they still are a bit.
I bet they used to stink when everyone's smoking.
No, I can see her and Kevin and Martin going down the bowling alley in the 80s. I think that she's just lost her...
Well, I think it's boring. It's a waste of time.
Maybe she just needs the bumpers
It's just
up.
the
And
most
she
boring.
doesn't
I
wanna...
hate any sport where you go as a group together to have fun, but then you have to stand up in front of everybody and go, look at me doing something useless. Everyone observe me failing miserably at something I do, probably I'm going to do in my whole life a dozen times, because I hate it and it's boring.
Bowling is something...
So dull.
We've, in the last 15 years, we've probably gone bowling about twice, haven't we? But it's one of these
And it
things
costs
that...
money too.
I think I like the
Why?
idea of it until I'm there and I remember, oh yes, I'm not actually that good. I think the scores that I kind of get in bowling on the rare occasions that I go, acceptable for a 9-year-old, and I haven't really progressed since then, because it's not really that much of an achievement to say bowl over 100, is it? But I tell you what, if I got over 100 these days, I'd be singing it from the rooftops and then realising that that's kind of normal.
It's just boring. I'm really sorry. I hate it.
Would you like it if you went to a bowling
The only time I ever liked it,
party and everybody just had a lane next to each other and
No,
you just got it all
silly.
over and done within 10 goes? And it's like,
No.
oh, let's go home then.
I like it when they put bumpers in there, in the gutters. That's the only time I've ever enjoyed myself. One time, they left the kiddies one. They had a kiddie party before we went, and they left all the stuff there. And they had one of those little, the funnels.
Yeah, little elephant trunks.
And then they also left the bumpers in. I had the time of my life. It was fantastic.
Have you ever done the thing where you accidentally throw the bowling ball over into the next lane? I've done that and got a strike before.
What, on someone else's leg?
Yeah. It's very rare for me to get a strike. I did get one then. My other bowling story is there was one time then, I've probably told you this one. I think I was maybe in year 5 and my friend James wanted to organise a bowling party for his birthday and he didn't invite me.
Oh.
And I got really upset and I got my parents to phone up. And I got my parents to phone up James's parents, and apparently he just thought it wasn't really my thing because I was such a killjoy and he didn't think that I'd enjoy it. But actually, back then I really did want to go on a bowling party.
Did you not get invited?
I don't remember whether I went in the end. It's one of these things that if you turn up and you know you're not invited, it's probably not as fun. But yeah, I was gutted because James was one of my best friends and he just didn't think I'd be up for bowling because I missed a no fun even back then.
Bugger.
I wasn't...
You're miserable. I wouldn't invite you bowling either. Right, so...
Well, I wouldn't invite you now. I know what you think
No,
about it.
don't invite me bowling. It's rubbish. Why? I don't get it. Also,
Just go
I do
with
have...
Sally and sit
I
at the
do
bar.
have something wrong with my shoulder, which is why I can't do it.
Gemma's hyper flexible, aren't you?
It doesn't work out for me. Okay, right, so Sally's like, look, I'm just going to tell you all about my bowling history here. They're not really interested.
Are we talking about Coronation Street? I forgot.
Yeah, but Sally's like, oh, I hate bowling, I don't want to go. And Betsy's like, oh, you should go. You should go, definitely.
Yeah, she's trying to get the factory empty for this grand heist that she had organised.
Joke's on Betsy here, because I don't think that if Sally didn't go to the bowling, she still would be in the factory working by herself. I would go home for the day. If I'm not going to the team building thing because I hate bowling, I'm certainly not working instead. Right, so, Betsy convinces her to go.
I think that Sally should have gone to the bowling and then done a really bad bowl and accidentally chucked it in the air and donked someone over the head with a bowling ball, and then they and Carla could have been roomies.
Oh yeah,
at the hospital. I read a fact. No, we will get to the topic. This is still Coronation Street related. Somebody said online, and I don't know whether this is true or not, that every week since beginning of July, I think it was, someone has had a scene in the hospital.
Really?
The hospital has featured every single week in Coronation Street for the past 4 months. It's terrible.
Can you just imagine that, you're writing a script for Coronation Street and it gets sent back to you you have to have a hospital scene where we literally have to have a scene in this set.
Yeah, are they stealth-sponsored by the NHS? Is that what the NHS...
That's where the money's
going. That's where the money's going, isn't it? Yeah.
Paying ITV.
I want to know how many weeks it's been since the police station set hasn't featured. I think that I would just want Kate Brooks to have a New Year's resolution, just to challenge herself. Or maybe giving it up for Lent for a start.
Yeah, just see how you feel.
Have your pancakes, no more police scenes until Easter, see how you get on.
In the hospital and the police station set, and then nothing.
Yeah, for 40 days and 40 nights. Come on,
called a challenge.
You can do it.
Yeah. Right, so...
I couldn't do it.
Mate, after Sally goes, Mason tells Betsy that he's like, I don't want anything to do with this. This is a bad move. You shouldn't have organised this with my brothers. So the factory lot get ready to go, and this is also dumb. Carl's like, I thought it was next week. What? Why? Are you not the boss?
Oh yeah, I thought that was... Sometimes things are added into the scripts and it's like,
That doesn't really make sense.
It's a little bit like, was it? I can't remember whether this is. Oh no, it was Alia coming back this week, where she comes in and she surprises Yaz in the cafe on Wednesday, and Yasmin's like, "Oh, I didn't think you were coming back until tomorrow." Like, I think that's quite a common thing in Coronation Street. When people have been away, they always come back a day before people are expecting. It's like, I just wanted to surprise you. Like, who does that in real life?
Don't ever do that to me. I don't like surprises.
Gemma needs to clean the house ready.
Yeah, it didn't work out.
I mean, if Jeff has done his work on Yasmin, she has got a spotless house,
probably at all times.
Yeah, exactly.
And
got to get the red
wine
crosses
bottle ready.
Yeah, but yeah, that's another bit of dialogue. It's like you don't need to throw it in there.
Yeah, Carla's like, I thought it was next week. Betsy, in the confusion,
they're all poor timekeepers in Weatherfield, aren't they? That's why they haven't noticed there's only 3 days a week.
From Carla's drawer. Yeah, she's like, I'm sorry, it's like we have 7 days normally, but for some reason we never get to the weekend. So I thought.
Yeah, that's why they can't do their staff training day on a Saturday. Well, they can't go to the bowling on Saturday like everybody else because it doesn't exist.
Oh, and they're like, right, Carla, you've got to go home and change your trainers because those shoes are not suitable.
This I didn't understand.
Doesn't make any sense because you've got to take your shoes off.
Who goes to the bowling alley in their bowling shoes? I know the old pros do, like Dirk.
They weren't bowling shoes. They were just trainers.
Yeah. You can walk into a bowling alley in high heels.
You can wear anything on your feet and be allowed to go bowling because they give you shoes.
Yeah, that's
one of
odd.
them. That's
Maybe times has changed since we were more regular bowlers. But as far as I understood it,
one of the main things about bowling that sucks is like you have to wear someone else's stinky shoes.
You can't wear all shoes. If you wore clown shoes, they probably wouldn't be able to fit in the little nooks that they provide for them.
Maybe that's why they said to her, you've got to change your shoes because your boots are too giant for the cubbyhole.
Tell you who can go bowling and put out Caris. It doesn't fit. It doesn't fit in the nook.
We don't have shoes for you. We could hack up a pair of shoes.
That's going to be the next woes for the Battersby Brown family, isn't it? Like, they just want to go family. They want to go bowling.
Elephantitis of the foot.
Yeah, and Cleo and Alid and Bryn are all like happily bowling away, and Caris is just there on the side going, well, there's no shoes that'll fit me.
Oh, dear.
Anyway.
That will be a fact that we remember forever about this poor child. That she's got hideously oversized feet.
Come on.
Okay, right.
Sorry, it's my fault. I know, mostly. You're causing a distraction today.
Right, so she goes home to get her trainers, and then we get Betsy goes out the back, and she's like, "Oh, here's the keys. You got to just leave Mason alone if I let you rob everything, okay?" And then Betsy's hiding in the factory, and Carla comes in and hears her phone go off. And she's like, is anyone there? Is that going to come up at some point? She's going to...
Yeah, no,
it's not going to, is it?
Yeah, she meets Lisa later in the pub.
What does that mean?
What?
No, I'm just saying, Carla knows now that Betsy did it.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if this was going to... Because this is pointless. This scene was totally pointless. It would have made sense if she had recognised the text message tone later on, but she doesn't. So Betsy's hiding. Carla gets a phone call.
Oh yes, no, I thought that might happen.
And then she goes to meet Lisa in the pub, and Lisa's like, "I've summoned you here to buy you a Coke and tell you you're dumped.
Yeah.
I'm not ready for a relationship with anybody.
Iron brew, Gemma.
Even you and your beautiful raven hair." And Carla's like, well, I could be bowling now. I've changed my shoes and everything. She's not happy about it, is she?
No.
And she doesn't even want the Coke. No. In the end, does she?
Oh, yeah, it's Lisa that buys... Yeah.
Fountain Coke is the worst. I agree with you, Carla. I'm sure that's what you were thinking. Betsy lets the brothers into the factory and says, right, be quick. I don't know when Carla's going to come back because I'm telling you now, she's gone to the pub. She'll be back in a minute. So Carla then comes back to the factory and it's ransacked. She looks really sad and devastated. She's walking through. For some reason, they've just trashed the place instead of just stealing everything.
Well, they did plan to steal stuff. Was there any... I don't think there was any kind of major comeback on the factory being raided, was there?
Well, they took all their computers.
The stakes were raised.
We don't need those. We just do it in our heads. They don't seem to be bothered.
Mike Baldwin's looking down and is like, that's the way.
Like, usually that would lead to like 2 weeks of chaos and all the orders getting cancelled and confused.
Well, the stakes were raised when Carla nearly got killed.
Is it though? Everyone's getting nearly killed all the time. Like you said, the factory. I mean, it is. It's a head wound factory, the hospital. Right, so she's she's looking about. Oh, I can't believe it. I've been robbed. And she's about to phone up the police, and Logan jumps out and whacks her on the head. She doesn't see her. She doesn't see him. And they both run away. And then we get to see Mason as finding Betsy on Maxine's bench, and he says, "You got to call this off because nothing ever goes right with these guys. It's all going to end in tears."
Mason's a bit of a broken record with this.
I'm fed up
he?
with these two meeting up with each other.
It's because he's a Warner brother as well. He's
yeah.
warning her about the Warner brothers.
No, I'm warning you, Betsy. This ain't gonna end well. But the pair of them, she just fancies him, and he doesn't seem that into her. And he spends his whole time going, "Oh, I'm scared of my brothers." Move then. Go live somewhere else. What are you doing? I'm fed up with it. Like we've had the same scene with these two. Like, she's thirsty and he's indifferent.
Yeah, you're right. It is a bit ad nauseum, isn't it?
I'm not bothered. I don't care. Anyway.
Oh, something about the Warner Brothers. We didn't mention this on the podcast because we hadn't noticed before that this Matty was actually in it last year.
He was actually...
I'm sure everybody knows this now, but just in case you don't, do you remember last week's episode where Ryan happens to recognise him and said, "Oh, you're from the STC or whatever it's called.
STC won't let me be."
Whatever it is. And yeah, he actually was. The actor who plays him was a character in the scene who, and he got a few lines and everything. Daniel pulls him out of class because he's a bit heckly with Ryan when he comes to do his speech about how my life turned rubbish when I got hit in the face with acid, and Matty's there just being a bit sad about, well, I've got no prospects, and so they brought him back, so that was a nice bit of continuity.
You could go up and rob a factory.
Yeah, exactly. He's got the world at his fingertips. But they also said,
also the cheek of him, he's a robber too.
Who is?
Ryan.
Ryan. He did the bistro, didn't he?
Yeah, Bistro Ninja, one of the many great Bistro Ninjas of our time.
Yeah. Well done for bringing him back. I mean, maybe it was probably just coincidence, I suppose.
I doubt he was cast as this character.
Like, don't take any jobs in the next 12 months, Mr. whatever your name is. Sorry, I should have found this out. Because we got. Well,
I bet he was just like
bigger role for
listed
you
as
in a year's time.
Naughty boy.
No. He was called Matty then,
was
and everything.
He?
Yeah, yeah, all planned out. Ian McLeod's like, I see great things.
So he's got Mason, Matthew, and Logan.
Yeah, they like their middle of the alphabets. So that was very good.
It's better to be in the middle, isn't it? Because then you don't get called up first. Like, we've both got beginning of the alphabet surnames. And sometimes at school. Panic me.
Anyway,
are you done?
Yes.
Right. So
apart from to say that Ryan said, "I think I recognise you from somewhere," and I'm sure Daniel could ID you. And yet Daniel has had nothing to do with this week. So still watch this space, maybe, that Daniel's going to say.
Daniel?
Yes, Daniel, who was teaching at the
what has he got to do with
school.
anything?
He was teaching at the prison school,
so
wasn't
what?
he? Well, he might come into this at some point. But he wasn't this week.
He'd be like, "Hey, Matty, do you remember Shakespeare?" No.
Yeah.
We might as well just quit.
Sorry, carry on.
So the ambulance turns up, and Carla's there telling Craig what happened, and he's like, "You should go to the hospital." She says, "I don't want to fuss." And I can't remember what Craig says something like, "Don't worry, I'll take care of it." And Carla's like, "Can someone else double check when you're finished?" Betsy's there, and she sees a message from Logan on her phone going, "Meet at the precinct at 4:30. If we don't hear back, consider our deal expired." So Betsy meets up with them and says, "Look, I didn't know Carla was going to come back. I can't believe you attacked her. That's not part of the plan. I'm in trouble now. This is my boss you just battered over the head. And also, I hope that you know that Mason's off the hook now. You got to leave him alone, right?" And they're like, "Oh, we just have to see. And if we go down, you go down." And so, she's very bad at choices, isn't she? Betsy.
Yeah.
Right, so Carla decides she's not going home. She goes and tries to sort out the insurance claim.
Mistake.
And she's in the factory on the phone, and Ryan and Roy come around because these guys are a double act this week, aren't they?
Yes,
they spend the whole week just hanging around together.
I loved the scene where they were discussing the muscles.
Yeah.
That was on Wednesdays, was it?
Yeah.
And Roy was out.
Latins.
Yes, it was, wasn't it? The name of... I don't remember what the muscle was now because I've got no
Sartorius.
idea. I'm really bad at remembering names of muscles. Was it that? Yeah.
Why not? I've literally never heard that word before as a muscle. Have you? I'm sure I did
No.
something about anatomy.
Well, I think it worked well for this because this is obviously something that Roy thinks he should know, and Ryan would because he's a gym guy. And yeah, I thought there was a very quaint scene between the two of them. More of this, please.
More, please. Yeah, I loved that. I thought it was great. So they come round, fuss over her, tell her to go to the hospital, and she's like, "No, I've got to do this. I've got to focus now." So they tell her to lock herself in, so she does. And she makes a big deal about knowing that she's locked herself in. And then she's wheezing about and falls on the floor and has a collapse.
Oh dear.
And Betsy lets herself in later and finds her on the floor. She's just returning these keys. But she finds Carla, phones an ambulance again, and she's proper fretting, but she remembers to put the keys back.
Not where she got them, though.
For some reason, the factory lot come back to the factory after bowling. I'd just go home. Especially when I live literally up the road.
Well, you can't really avoid the ambulances outside the factory if you live just opposite it, can you?
Right, well, they come in and see the ambulance, and everyone's gathering. Oh, what's happened? Who
Brian
knew?
was there. Peter Gunn got his
got
his paycheck for the month.
Got to be somebody who knew the place was empty. Oh. Who could have possibly been there to see everybody literally climb into a bus to go to bowling? Anyway, Swain finds Betsy. She turns up at her work, and it summons her mother to the soft interview room. I'd be fed up if I worked with Swain at this point. Betsy's always there, always got a problem, always crying, always using up the soft interview room. What if we got to tell Leanne Dad's dead? Where are we going to do it if we've got to call her in?
People's family members are always just turning up at each other's places of work on the show, aren't they?
When was the last time
a place of work was just kept as a place of work?
No, but I mean, like, how often does this really happen? Like, I've never gone into your school when you're working.
No, that's because you're embarrassed.
No, because what would I go around there for?
You don't like people knowing what you look like.
But you're a teacher. I can't just go and go, oh yeah, I'm just dropping in to say hello to Michael. He's doing maths, is he? I don't care. What's it got to do with me?
Yeah, do people who have normal jobs just drop in on their spouses during the day? Yeah, I wonder.
If you work somewhere like a cafe, it makes sense. If you work in a knicker factory, there's not much opportunity for socialising, I'd say.
As a police station.
The police station, yeah, you can't just go into the interview room. Have you done a crime? Have you know someone who did? No, get out then.
Yeah, and
you've got stuff to do.
Has she been DBS checked?
Yeah.
I don't.
Probably wouldn't pass it, would she?
I think that leaving her just wander willy-nilly around the station is probably something about GDPR that's...
you can read all kinds of stuff on those notice boards.
Yeah.
Right, so Lisa's like, what's happening? What's up? And Betsy tells her what's happened. And so at the hospital, Roy and Ryan are there talking about how sad it is because Carla's still unconscious. And Swain... Does Swain go at this point? She hears that it's a bit...
She comes in and she hears that Carla's in dire straits and Betsy's there going, oh, whoops, that's something to do with me, soz.
My bad.
Yeah, basically.
So, Swain...
On Wednesday.
Is it?
Yes. What? Wednesday.
Oh, Swain.
I just said Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I thought it was some kind of medieval... banqueting holiday.
St. Swithin's Day.
Yeah. So she's been there at the bedside, begging her to wake up. She's been there all night. Oh, I can't go through this again. She's desperately sad.
It's not all about you, Lisa.
She does make it about her a bit. She goes, but no can hear her. When you're by yourself, you're allowed to be a bit self-indulgent, I say.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what I was doing.
Who's the real victim?
So, she gets the phone call and she's like, "You got him? I'm coming in." So she goes to the station and Kit's dragging Matty in, and they give him an interview, don't they? Mm-hmm. He's like, "No, I've got my alibi. I don't even care because."
Yeah, he says that he was at some garage getting his car done, doesn't he?
My heat shield fixed.
Is that what it was?
And he's like, "Well." No, it wasn't me. And Lisa says, "How did you get into the factory?" And he's like, "Haha, no comment, I'm not telling you nothing." And then Alia comes in and she's shadowing Matty's solicitor, and she goes, "I've got a very important email here with an invoice with some work that was done on the car to prove that they were there."
I kind of, in a way, I like the idea that Alia's now working for the enemy, but it's not taken her too long at all to realise, hang on a minute, this is feeling a little bit dodgy.
Yeah.
it kind of,
What?
that because she's working for defending people, and on police shows, which, as we all know, Corrie has now become.
Yeah.
The lawyers who work on the side of the defence are often characterised as being quite, the nasty side, aren't they? Because
in a police show,
they're defending criminals
in a police
who have
show,
clearly done something.
The defence lawyers are always evil.
Yeah.
But in like a criminal show, it's the police that are evil.
So
I know how it works.
I kind of like that she's in there for this, but
She's just a bit annoying, isn't she?
yeah.
She turns up with her beautiful hair and an invoice email.
Mm.
Right, so Roy and Ryan are with Carla when she wakes up, and she's like, "Oh, I'm sad," and they say, "Oh, Lisa was here all night," and she's like, "Oh, interesting." And Roy gets a bit confused about this, doesn't he? He discovers that Carla has decided that she quite likes Swain.
I quite liked it. He said something, I can't remember who he was talking about, but he did the old, I should know more than anybody that love comes in all shapes and sizes.
Happiness doesn't always come from the likeliest of places.
Yeah, which again makes sense for Roy.
Well, yeah, Carla's saying, "Oh, I might actually like her," and then that's when Swain turns up.
But yeah, like with Ryan, there's no kind of sense of
what,
which is an understandable reaction from people. I mean, people online have been having that reaction.
What?
So
being surprised,
being surprised that Carla has got on a different bus.
It's negative. I don't see it as a negative thing to be surprised.
No,
and I think Coronation Street is kind of like brushing it under the carpet to be progressive and that's nice, but I don't think it's very realistic at all.
I mean, people have got in touch with us and said, the people are a lot more fluid these days, and people even of Ryan's generation wouldn't bat as much of an eyelid as other people with. But
Carla's generation, and Roy's not.
Roy's certainly not.
Yeah, but Roy was married to a trans woman.
Yeah. But when I don't think anybody else really knows about it yet, do they? I don't need there to be people.
I don't want people to be negative about it. I just want to be clear. I don't think that I'm not saying everyone should be up in arms and like telling her that she's wrong or weird or confused or something. But like literally just going, that's a bit of an odd reaction.
At least we know now there's no danger of Les turning up and putting his foot in it with some inappropriate cavemanish comment. I mean, Sally, I'm kind of looking forward to her
Everyone
reaction.
Cannot wait for Sally to find out. It will be a field day. I really hope they make a big deal out of it, because there's so much potential for hilarity.
And I think we've said before that Beth's reaction could have been interesting, because she might have likely said something inappropriate.
Yeah, she would have.
You're right. I don't need it to be a big thing, but I think it would feel odd if
nobody
absolutely
expressed any
nobody.
Surprise.
Yeah. That's all.
Being surprised by something unexpected is not negative.
No,
I don't think it's going to undermine any progress or any kind of message in this story to have people go, okay.
Well, it was a bit like after Aidan's suicide, and everybody had a very different reaction to it, didn't they? And some of those reactions weren't necessarily the PC reaction, like Beth in that case. I know.
But the other thing about it, on the other hand, is that Ryan, like people have said, Ryan maybe he's
seen it all in Ibiza.
Yeah,
he's a DJ, don't you know?
He's seen some things on the dance floor, and Roy, if anyone's going to be like, okay, it just doesn't bother me. I don't get why this would be weird.
But equally,
surprising.
I mean, people might say that Roy has got spectrumy traits to him, and it might be that in his mind there is he's got his mind set in a fixed way about how people are.
I think maybe you could, but he's not, canonically autistic or on the spectrum.
No, I know,
but he does seem like the sort of person who would say, "Look, I've never understood people. Nothing surprises me about people anymore."
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Do what you want. I don't care.
Yeah, but as you said, I was happy enough with Roy's reaction to it, and the fact that they gave that little line with him about happiness coming from different places. Yeah, fair play.
And they do. I mean, it's not like they completely ignore it and act like this is like something that Carla does all the time, because he does make a comment about this is an unusual situation for you, but you go on with it, girl. That's what you want.
Yeah.
And Lisa's like, Carla's like, oh, I might actually like her. That was really sweet.
I'd really be really interested if Peter were to come back and find out, or
I want to see it. Can you imagine how exciting an argument between Peter and Lisa would be?
Yeah.
She'd eat him alive.
Yeah.
Wouldn't
Peter
she?
Eater.
Yeah.
I do think so.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
He's a bit of a tough guy himself.
He wouldn't even know.
He's a salty sea
which
dog.
way was up after she'd finished with him. She's a police officer.
I just wouldn't want Peter to come back and then be villainised for
Like what
being a
happened
little bit
with,
like that happened with Zidane.
But you've moved on. You dumped her. You've got no right to be upset about anything.
Did he? I can't remember what
Yeah,
happened.
he gave her divorce papers. She didn't give it to him.
Yeah, but she bought him a boat. Maybe this was the plan.
She didn't buy him a boat. She get him a job.
Oh yeah,
on a
she
boat.
got him a
It's bit
ticket on a
different.
boat. Sorry, yeah.
It's a bit different.
Yes. I'm confusing it with when he bought a boat a few years ago.
No, she bought him a boat. She bought him a boat before, and now she got him a ticket for a boat.
Okay, you have got a good memory.
Sometimes I remember things, and most of the time I don't. Anyway, so Swain's had this interview with Matty, and she can't pin it on him at all.
It's a Swain interview on Swain's Day.
She doesn't believe that she's determined she's going to get them, and Kit's like, you're being a bit fixated on this, and she's like, don't worry about it, it's none of your business. Then Alia sees Yasmin in the cafe, and she's like, yeah, I came back early.
Oh yeah, this is when Yasmin was like, oh, I don't like you hanging around in police stations.
And then she's like, I'm helping criminals. Oh, I don't like that either. I kind of love that.
I think the horse has bolted here, Yasmin. You can't say well done to your daughter for training to be a lawyer and say granddaughter. Sorry, and say I didn't know that would involve you going to police stations or mingling with people who might be seen as a little bit shady.
Yeah, but she's thought she was dealing with the normal stuff that Adam's always moaning about. Like, remember that boundary dispute? We never got to the bottom of that, did we?
Oh yeah,
the boundary dispute.
She did say it was. Is this about a hedge fund or something? Isn't she?
It's not the same thing, Michael.
Well, you have hedges on your boundaries. I know it's not the same thing. I'm not that dense. Move on.
Are you sure?
Definitely.
I can't tell.
To make a joke that made
all
us all
right.
look stupid.
Okay, I can't tell you. Right. So can you tell we haven't seen each other for a week? Right.
It's sweet, isn't it?
So Swain.
It's like when Carla and Lisa haven't been in an episode together for a few days.
Right, so Swain has just come in to see Carla, and Roy and Ryan have made a retreat. And so she says, Carla's like, do you know who's done this? And then she says, like, we've got a suspect and I'm still trying to investigate. I can't say any more than that. And it was really tense, wasn't it, this scene? Because she's like, we can't say this and you can't say that. What can you say, Lisa?
Oh yeah, what can't you say, Lisa?
No.
Well, I know, yeah, what else can't you say, Lisa?
And she's like, I've got to go. Oh, so tense. So Kit goes back from the garage later, and the owners have like, yeah, Matt and Logan definitely here. They didn't do crimes because they were doing times here.
Yeah.
So they let Matty out, and he's been an absolute arse, hasn't he?
Yes.
Rubbing it in everyone's face. And then he says, I can't remember exactly. Oh, what does he say? He says...
he says, if the guy who hit Becky was a getaway driver, who was he getting away?
That was the most profound thing anyone said in Coronation Street for months.
Well, my initial reaction to that was, didn't the police investigate that?
I know, this, and it's like, Swain and Kit are like, oh my God, he's right. It's like,
getaway drivers do
about?
carry other passengers on the whole.
Maybe he was being a getting to driver.
Oh, he could on the way to the bank.
Yeah.
I'm
late, I can't stop.
I mean, it's Weatherfield police all over, really, isn't it? Like,
yeah, a getaway driver. But for what? Stupid idiots. Oh dear. This kind of being treated as like this really amazing piece of knowledge was kind of funny, because they, like you said, they should have known that a getaway driver would have to drive somebody. Good God. Anyway,
maybe they just economise and they drive their own getaway car these days. The Crims of Weatherfield.
Yeah, maybe he was like also being an Uber driver at the same time.
I wonder, maybe it was Johnny Connor. I remember back in his criminal days,
He
maybe he had another little go at it. I suppose he was dead by this point.
He was dead. No. Yeah. We don't know when she died, do we? 3 years ago.
I can't
2 or
remember.
3.
I'm sure they've said. I'm sure people will tell us.
Yes. So, he knows something about what's happened to Becky, and he implies there was another person in the car. And they also call it a murder, and I don't remember. I knew
Did
that she
they?
was killed. Yeah, it specifically gets called a murder in this week's
If
episode.
you run down someone on purpose,
I
then
wouldn't.
it probably is, isn't it?
I know, but the way they talked about it, maybe I misinterpreted what they said. But I was under the impression that she died at work by accidentally getting run over, which is I assume what happened to Les. Maybe he was a police officer that got run over.
I don't know. It's just very undetailed.
I guess if you kill
the account
somebody...
of Becky's death so far.
Yeah, I know. It's intriguing.
It's like we'll decide the details later.
I don't know if it's that. I mean, we say that quite a lot, that they don't put details in because they're going to fill it out later if they feel like it.
But sometimes it is also the case that we've just forgotten the details.
Sometimes we've forgotten, and sometimes it's supposed to be a mystery.
Yes.
So I think we're supposed to be intrigued by this because...
Are you intrigued by this?
I am, yeah.
Are we going to have a flashback of Becky being hit in the car?
No. I want to see what she looks like, though.
I think that it was Billy. There's loads of people that could have been in this getaway car.
I think it was Carla, because she knocked Paul over.
Yeah.
When she was on drugs.
She was on drugs in the van.
Swain tells Kit that she's convinced Matty had something to do with this. And if it turns out that that's true, I'm kind of going to be a bit annoyed, because that's silly.
Is Matty implying that he was in the car, or that he just knows who was in the car?
I thought he was implying that he knew something.
I kind of got the impression that he was implicating himself here, and
it's a bit of a stupid thing to do.
But then I thought that is a bit of a stupid thing to do.
I've just got away with one crime. I'm going to implicate myself in another, just to be.
He'd have to be pretty sure that his alibis were watertight. So yeah, but it feels. I felt it was one of those big Corrie coincidences.
Yeah, that's my point.
Just so happens that I was there and I know something, or I know something about when your wife was killed. Like, Sarah, come on.
For example, the fact that I don't know. I was going to say the fact that Shona.
Small world, isn't it?
Shona's coincidentally the mother of the guy that killed Kylie, but. The only thing that was coincidental was the initial meeting, and when she realised who he was, she got obsessed with David, and then the rest of that stemmed from that one coincidence. It's not like she found out afterwards. Like Billy seemed to find out that he was the murderer of Susan.
This feels closer to the Billy Susan thing. It's not necessarily retconning a story that has been set in stone to some extent for 15 years. Now they're just revisiting it. I mean, it was probably all put together at the same time. But
here's a question then: why was Matty in the STC in prison?
How
long was he in there for?
I don't think we know. I'm not sure whether we know, but we might.
Was he in
know,
there
and
for
I've just
something to
forgotten.
do with this robbery?
I mean,
no, she would have known.
Yeah, exactly.
But if he was in prison, he can't have killed Becky, can he?
No, whatever he's got to do
Obviously wasn't in
with
it.
Becky's death, that's not what he was in prison for.
No.
But he could have still had something to do with it, because clearly inept Weatherfield Police Department, it was probably Craig who was manning that case. Yeah, just forgot the fact that maybe the getaway driver was getting someone away.
That's so dumb.
The person who was in the car with them was probably laughing all over their face. Like, I was really bricking it when I thought that when they hauled the driver in, but actually they forgot to ask about me.
Yeah, the driver's like, I didn't even have to lie, mate. They never asked me.
Yeah.
That's so silly. And this guy, this driver's gone down for murder of a police officer without once grassing up the other person. That also makes no sense.
Honour among thieves in Weatherfield.
Oh yeah, they're the best people, aren't they?
Although, tell you what, if I wouldn't want to be dobbing Matty in, because as Mason keeps telling us,
he'll warn you.
As he keeps warning us, he's a bad lad. He's nasty. He'll do. He's
up to no good.
Yeah,
and he likes.
Don't go on the wrong side of Matty.
And don't mess around with his cup of tea and his saucer.
Anyway.
Right, so Betsy finds Swain having a moment. She's been sad because all this is raked up at everything about Becky's death. And she's got a lot on her mind. She's kind of crying. And Betsy's like, oh, hug?
I want a hug.
Hug, please. And they have a little mother-daughter hug. Carla tells Roy and Ryan that whoever broke into the factory didn't break into the factory. They had some keys. And so go and find out who had any spare keys.
Mm-hmm. We had a bit of scene with Alia, didn't we, around this point, where Adam's pleased to see her, because remember what was going on there before Sarah Khan went off on a maternity leave.
Ooh, each other. Ooh, we've both got hair, great hair. We should go out together.
They made a joke about Adam's hair.
He can't...
I don't know whether it was a bit of a fourth wall break, but they said...
He can't even commit to getting a haircut.
I'm amazed you can commit to anything so much as a haircut, and he literally can't.
He literally can't, at times.
Can we just straight on the table get out of the way and say I am in no way inspired by the idea of Adam and Alia getting together?
No.
It's like, seriously, when they were kind of moving about each other's waters or whatever 6 months ago, I was like, no,
not bothered.
They're both fairly
literally
dull
forgot.
Characters.
I know that. I hate. Yeah, I don't like to be too mean about. But literally, the pair of them, I kind of forget they're in it when they're not on the screen.
Oh yeah, totally.
I'm not wondering what Adam's doing.
No.
Ever. Really. He's not had a proper story since Alia left. He just turns up and says, oh yeah.
Adam does go through these periods of having nothing to do.
Well, everyone does on this show.
But Adam, to me, you're right, still feels like a bit more of an outsider.
Yeah. Yeah, he does. He lives in his little... Where does he live now?
I don't remember.
He goes to his little office. No one else works there. He goes to sits about, looks at his hair in the mirror, probably.
Yeah, I think they're trying to get us to ship the two of them, but uninspiring. But then sometimes I also thought, well, put the dull ones together, and at least they won't drag down anyone else, because we've seen that happen before.
Okay.
Anyway.
Right, so Ryan's come back from his investigation and he's found a pair of spare keys in the factory desk.
On the factory desk.
And Betsy comes in to check on Carla, and Carla's like, oh, excuse me, do you know anything about these keys on my desk? I think it was you. And Betsy says, no, it wasn't me. And Carla says, no, I'm convinced you know something about this.
I'm going to tell your mum.
I can't remember if Ryan leaves at this point.
I think probably. Yeah, he must do.
Yeah, he's gone. And Carla's like, right, I'm telling your mum. And Betsy's like, no, don't tell my mum. I'll tell you everything. She's like, Carla's saying, I'm going to get prints off this keys. As she's holding them in her hand. I think they're gone now. Betsy says, look, I was behind this. I did let them in. And she confesses even her motivation. She's like, yeah, I hate you. I wanted to punish you because I don't want you to replace my mum. But I didn't know these guys, they were going to kill you. I didn't tell them to attack you or anything. I thought that they just go and steal stuff. And also, there's somebody my friend, who they're going after, and I wanted to protect him. It just sounds so silly when she's saying it.
She is only
really
16,
naive.
Isn't she? She's
naive.
very naive,
yeah.
But she puts on a front of being a bit street smart.
I'm not criticising the story. I'm criticising her logic.
Kids do stupid things.
Well, that's the point of being a kid, isn't it? You're supposed to be able to make... I mean, you shouldn't be really making mistakes of this level, but hey.
Yeah, I nearly got my boss killed.
Yeah. So she's like, please don't tell my mum. She's in a really bad place. And Carla's like, look, I'll do what I want. You can't emotionally blackmail me. Get out. That's the first time she's tried emotional blackmail, Betsy, and it didn't work, did it? She's not going to try that one again.
No, just resort to the old money.
Yeah, the old
extortion.
money thing grabbing. So Carla tells her to leave, and so Swain goes to see Carla and says, she starts crying, doesn't she?
Does she?
Yeah, she's like,
oh yeah, she does.
Can I talk to you, please? And Carla's like, yeah, I've got to talk to you too, but you go first. Well, they don't actually say that, but. She's like, I've got to tell you.
It was as good as the classic, let me tell you something. No, let me tell you something. What were you going to say? Nothing.
Carla's completely furious, and I think she's done with Lisa at this point as well. And she's certainly done with Betsy. And so Lisa just starts crying. She's saying, oh, Matty told me something about my wife's death and murder, and I've tried investigating it. There's no new evidence, but I think someone else was involved and they've got away with it. And she starts crying, and Carla's like, oh, look, tell me anything, anytime.
Carla realises that maybe Lisa's got a little bit too much on her plate at the moment to drop her daughter in it.
This was the week of about to tell somebody some bad news, and then they get worse news.
Yeah, you're right, actually. We had that for the Nick and Leanne thing, didn't we?
So she's kind of softened, hasn't she, Carla, now?
Mm-hmm.
So, Alia says this offhanded comment to Adam, like, I think this law firm that I'm working for, I'm shadowing, I think they're up to no good. I think they're dodgy. It's such a casual way, like, oh yeah, I think the law firm I'm with are a bunch of criminals. Why would you hang around? And she's like, oh, it's probably nothing. How can you be so casual about it?
Well, you know, if you knew.
What kind? Yeah, but you know, Michael, it's not going to be something like, oh, they invoice for a full hour and they only do half. It's not going to be that, is it? It's going to be some kind of really elaborate drugs crime, financial fraud.
I hope that Alia isn't the one that swans in and saves the day in this storyline by finding...
turning up and finding an invoice.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Why is there no CC... Oh, no, Betsy did actually say that she turned off the CCTV, didn't she? Yeah.
And nobody's asked about it, so she didn't have to bother, really.
Yeah.
So, Swain joins Betsy in speed dial later, and Betsy's relieved to hear that Carla's not spilled the beans about her involvement in the factory break-in. And Betsy tells her that she's worried about Lisa, and Lisa says, yeah, there's been a development about your mum's death, but I think somebody else was involved. And this is really fascinating, because she tells Betsy, oh, it's no one you know, but we all know that Betsy knows them very well. She's going to lose her mind when she finds out she's been working with the people who probably killed her mum.
Yeah, but she's not like best mates with them or anything, is she?
Well, she let them in to nearly kill Carla.
Yeah.
This is why you don't consort with criminals, Betsy. Just goes wrong. So on Friday...
Yasmin was right.
She's right.
Hanging around
people
dodgy
should
people
listen to
and rub
Yasmin
off
more,
on you.
you know. She's a wise old lady.
She's a wise old bird is Yas.
I was going to say wise old bird. Then I thought it sounded offensive and I changed it to old lady, which is even worse. I'm sorry, Yasmin. You're not an old lady.
You know we love you.
Yeah.
She's a bit.
Well, it's a thing to... That's what I want to be when I grow up.
What is old lady?
Well, I don't want to die before I get to be old. Right, Friday.
Before you get to be wise.
God,
you'll make
maybe
it one of these days.
One day. Ryan and Roy arrive at the hospital as Carla's being discharged.
Are we on Friday? Well, today's now, aren't we?
And they're like, "What's going on with Lisa?" And she's like, "Literally, I don't know. I literally
They're just teasing
don't know where
the
I stand
Swala
with this woman."
And Carla is the damage, collateral damage, isn't she?
Oh.
Just for...
Oh, yeah, just for drama.
Yeah.
Alia and Adam are having a breakfast together, and Glenda and Bernie are teasing them about getting together. They're like, no, we're just working together. What are you working on? Nothing.
What's Glenda? Come on, give Glenda a storyline.
Glenda turned up,
She's so close to having a storyline.
No,
in
she was
summer.
in a few scenes today with her hair. Beautiful hair.
Yeah.
So, Swain...
Love Glenda.
The Warner brothers are in the precinct, and Swain's just creepily watching them, which I guess is not creepy when you're a police officer.
Well, she's on a stakeout, isn't she?
She's not supposed to be doing it, though, is she?
No.
She's watching them, and Betsy calls her. She ignores the phone call, and then the Warner brothers come over, and they're like, "Yeah, you rubbish, you can see you," and take a photo of her, and walk off. And then Alia, in the police station later, comes up to Swain and goes, "Is this you? My client sent me a picture of you stalking him. Can you
maybe stop?
Can you not?" And then
Swain's just like, it's just coincidence.
Oh, it was just coincidence. I was just there to buy a sausage roll. She should have said that, but she didn't.
Biggest coincidence
and Alia
is how
says,
they always seem to be at the precinct.
Alia says, "Oh, I'll try to smooth
They could
things
be anywhere
over."
in the city.
Alia says, "I'll try to smooth things over with them." And I'm thinking, if I'm Lisa, I'm like, smooth things over with a criminal that I was following because they're up to criminal things. You don't have to smooth things over. I don't mind if he's offended.
Is that what the Smooth Criminal song is about?
Yeah, probably. It's like, I'm okay with us having a bit of tension.
Criminal.
I don't mind if he's mad at me because I'm mad at him. There's no relationship to smooth over here, Alia. What are you talking about? So, Betsy is having lunch in the cafe with her mum later. These people just eat out all the time, don't they?
Yeah.
What's
so funny that Lisa never used to eat at the cafe or hang out at precincts. No,
you never used to see her there, did you?
No,
it's weird.
She must have just been out of shot all this time because it's clearly one of her favourite places to go.
She was there,
or just have a cry in Victoria Garden.
She was there on
probably just have a cry in her own garden.
She was actually there more days, Michael. Now she's only there 3 days a week. Before she was 4 days a week. She was Tuesday, Thursdays, and the weekends.
Oh yeah.
So, they're having lunch, Betsy and Lisa, and she wants to know if there's any more leads in this case. And Swain can't tell her anything, and she drops off.
Becky drops off, isn't she?
Becky's dead.
Betsy. No, Betsy.
Betsy
drops
off.
Yeah.
And then Roy comes over and says, Carla's at hospital, by the way, but she's got a rest at home, which is where she is now, in case you're interested. And she's like, why are you telling me this? And he says, I know you care about each other, and everything's up in the air. And
that was very, hint for the usual straight talking Roy, wasn't it?
Straight talking.
He's finally, well, he is, isn't he? He's finally learned the art of subtle
hinting
and
He's like,
allowing for inference in his words.
And then Roy's like, you'll die alone.
Oh yeah.
Bye.
Like me.
He says, Betsy will be moving out soon and you'll be on your own, basically. And she's like, oh God.
He's like, get in there, Carla.
Get in there, Lisa.
No,
with Carla.
Oh yeah, he was talking to Lisa, wasn't he?
So Adam and Nalia end up kissing each other.
We just brushed past everything that happened between Alia and Adam this week because it was so boring.
Ali's like, I don't believe Matty's story. Let's have a kiss because I've got nothing else to say. Really.
They have a little drink at the Rovers, then they have a little dinner at the bistro, and that's it. Sorry for the Alia and Adam fans here.
Carla's back at home now. No one cares about them. Everyone cares about Carla and Lisa. So I'm telling you what happened next. Carla is back at home and she's sitting with a blanket and a little cup of tea, and she's decided not to buy the Platt's house now. And she gives all of the perfectly reasonable reasons why you wouldn't, which she should have thought of really before she put the offer in. The intercom rings. I think
there's a massive sinkhole that could open up in the garden at any moment.
Yeah.
Forgot about that one.
Yeah, the surveys come back and it's bad news. So Carla, the buzzer goes. Carla doesn't want visitors, but Ryan answers, and he lets Lisa in, and he goes out, and leaves them together, and Lisa just says, "Look, can we get together? I have got feelings for you. We should make a go of it." And she says, "A wise old man told me that I'd be mad to turn my back on something great." And Carla's like, "Hang on a minute, slow down here. I'm not gonna fall for this again. What if you change your mind?" And Lisa says, I wouldn't change my mind, baby. And then they have a kiss. Then they summon Betsy to the flat and say, do you want some pizza?
Guess what me and your mum have just been doing, Betsy, says Carla.
We haven't been eating pizza. Do you want some? And so Lisa goes to get the pizza and Carla and Betsy are left together, and Betsy begs her not to tell her mum about her involvement in the break-in. And Carla says, I'm not going to at the moment, but I will if this happens again. What are you talking about? This girl is out of control. Betsy's out of control. She's been doing this since she came in the show. She's been meddling around with things, blackmailing people, acting around, hanging out with criminals. She was hanging around with Joel before and nearly got in trouble with him. It's surprised he didn't try to murder her. Yeah. Now she's hanging around. I mean, even Mason. Maybe. Mason's like the nicest guy she knows, and he's a criminal too. He drove a child to suicide.
Maybe, and he knocked over Eliza. Remember that?
No one cares about Eliza.
I wonder whether maybe now there's a little bit more stability in her family life with her mum having a girlfriend. Betsy's just gonna mellow out a bit more, maybe.
Also, I like the fact that Betsy is such a snivelling coward that she, like, one minute she's like, I hate Carla so much, I want to see her punished, and the next minute she's begging her and acting all nicey. What are her feelings towards Carla now? Has she changed her mind? She must still hate her.
Yeah, I think she's just pretending to go along with it because she knows that she'll get in trouble otherwise.
Still going to try and cause trouble for Carla. Or do you think she'll just be grateful? Is she just
grateful that she's got away with it?
Has she changed her mind and she's now okay with Carla because Carla's hiding her secret?
I cannot believe that Betsy would change her mind about Carla after she and her mum boinked on the day of her dead mum's death anniversary or birthday or whatever it was.
Birthday.
No, she's going to try and cause trouble. It's really difficult to like Betsy, isn't it? And I'm still there thinking, are we supposed to like her? I'm a bit fed up of the troublesome teenager trope.
Blonde teenage girl.
Yeah, I just preferred the last lot of teenagers over this lot.
Muchness, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I really liked how stern Carla was with Betsy when she was in the hospital, and she's like, "Oh no, I'm not having this."
Yeah, you're right.
This was like great. You know, this storyline since we started down this Swallow path. This has been also the renaissance of Carla as a character. She's got her mojo back. She's had bitch in charge again.
She hasn't needed the love of a good woman to put a little bit of fire in her pants.
Whatever it is, but she's great now. She's how she... When I was a massive Carla fan, and then I kind of, she
She
didn't
went a
do
bit
lot.
wet, didn't she?
Well, she was traumatised, and unfortunately, in Coronation Street, if you're a woman and you're a good character and you're a strong actress,
Good at crying.
they will put you through hell, make you cry, and then turn you into a husk for a few years. And that's what's happened to her. That's happened to all of them. All of the really great female characters, this has happened to. Yasmin, Abby.
Yeah, Summer. Yeah, exactly.
No, well, some of the great characters.
I kind of want now. I wonder how long it's going to take for Carla and Lisa to go public with it all, because it could be kind of cool to have Carla just say, "Right, I'm dragging you into the pub, or we're going to stroll down the cobbles arm in arm."
I would love to see, like, Sally at the bar and Lisa and Carla walk in holding hands and sit at a booth, and Sally's jaw,
yeah.
she would her jaw would drop. She'd go. And then she'd like go, "This is such great news. Now I can relate to my boss on a completely different level, because I am also in the proximity of a lesbian, because my daughter is a Christian lesbian."
Usually how these things pan out is somebody sees somebody getting in a car or getting out of a car, but
or going to a hotel.
Swain's not,
or booking a holiday.
Swain's not going to be dropping Carla off to work at the factory, is she?
No, but
so maybe Carla will drop Swain into work one day, and somebody will be at the police station.
Maybe they'll walk to work, and Lisa will give her a kiss in the morning.
I really want there to be some element of tongues wagging here, and not
or
just
like,
blanket
ooh,
acceptance and good for you-ishness.
Well, it's also like that. This has been the reaction on Twitter. It's been like, ooh,
yeah, exactly,
how exciting,
exactly.
That's nothing wrong with that.
No,
Ryan and Roy have just been like, yeah, okay. I want a bit more like woohoo.
Yeah.
And can you imagine? You know how all the factory lot, they have to wait outside the door for it to be unlocked. It would just be so fantastic if Lisa did drop her off with a kiss in front of all the factory lot, and they're just gawping. Can you imagine Sean?
I think I would say for the moment, Carla, because she's still a bit insecure about, is she going to dump me again?
Yeah, that's true.
And I'm not in, my usual territory at the moment. I think that she's probably going to want to keep it hidden for a little bit. I mean, Lisa, with the scene last week in the bedroom with her come to bed eyes, she thought all the Christmases had come at once. Which, by the way, Christmas has come to Weatherfield this week. Everyone's got the memo. Everybody on that street has put up their decorations on exactly the same day. I can see like Sally being involved in that. It's,
we have
the Weatherfield Residents Association. 29th of November is the day that we all put our Christmas decorations up everywhere this year, and woe betide anyone else. Well, did we? I think there was some.
There was no Christmas at Chesney's house this year. No, can't afford it.
Sad times at Chesney House. They can't even afford a tinsel tree this year, can they? No.
They have to throw the tree they've already got away because they're so poor.
I think that, and also I would hope that Lisa would be a little bit more sensitive to her daughter's wishes. I know that Betsy is saying I'll go along with it for now, but I would hope that Swain's not going to flaunt this. They're probably going to keep it under wraps for a little bit, and maybe come Christmas. I mean, we are only 3 weeks away. Blimey, oh
my God,
need to get cracking with that. Maybe that's the time for them to go public.
Yeah, when you say you're going to get cracking with Christmas, what exactly do you mean?
Just check that you've got all my family Christmas presents.
Yeah.
And come up with the nominations for the Conversation
your
Street
family
Awards.
Christmas presents
Isn't
for
she
about
great,
2
everybody?
months.
Isn't she wonderful? So
you just mean you're going to have to make the logo for the podcast. You do nothing else for Christmas.
I got lots of Christmassy stuff going on at school, thank you very much. I'm in charge of the carol concert next week.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I could do with this story maybe going on a bit of a hiatus for a bit. It's felt a little bit full on. For the time being, it's taking up a lot of time. Not that I've got a problem with the story, but some of the stuff that's been bubbling up for, say, Nick and Leanne and Toya, I'd prefer to take the reins for a little while. And 3 weeks until Christmas, for me, is enough time for it to go on the sidelines, for it to blow up.
There's drama ahead because
end of December.
Betsy and Carla know a secret they're keeping from Lisa, and when that comes out, they're going to have another tiff, I'm sure. And not only
I don't need them to fall out again.
But they will do. Not only does she know about this secret, but it's a secret that involves the perhaps murderer of her dead wife.
such
So
a
it's going to be
soap opera
even
thing to
worse, isn't
happen.
it? It's going to be drama.
Yeah.
And they're going to be sad, and
Yeah.
they're not going to kiss each other for probably a week. So I hope that everyone's prepared for that to happen.
Yeah, I'd rather they just. I hope they stay the course now for the time. I mean, who does stay the course in Coronation Street? But let's not have will they. This week as test their relationship and now they're back together. Fine, but I don't need it on and off and on and off again.
What else happened?
Well, speaking of relationship dramas,
This was also exciting.
Toya, Nick's Leanne's boyfriend. I'm more invested in this story only because the characters I'm more invested in here. But it just Toya being the villain in this just doesn't sit right with me.
I love how completely unaware she is of like what is going to happen. She's like,
she was at one point, I'm sure, and then she's just like, forget, I don't care. So, let my ovaries take over me. And
she's kind of going.
What am I talking about?
I don't really know. She's
caving into her carnal desires.
She's going,
the sexy Nick.
Let's do something villainous, but in the most ethical way possible. We're going to be really sensible, and we're going to be so supportive of Leanne and make sure that we make. Like, her feelings are the most important. We've got to... And, like, meanwhile, Leanne knows and is just gonna blow up at them. I cannot wait. Because I love Toya, but she is really being insufferable in this storyline.
She is.
She's like, we can't hurt Leanne, but we just need to have one shag today.
I know.
Like...
Let's just do it. Like, do our duty. Let's lie back, think of Weatherfield, and then support my dear sister.
And then, I know that's skipping ahead, but the bit where they're at the bar... And Leanne is overhearing them, and Toya's like, yeah, we've got to really be conscientious about Leanne's feelings. Like, oh, she's so upset, and Leanne's like,
and Nick's like, should we go upstairs? Yeah, go on then.
Okay, yeah.
We haven't done it yet today, so
yeah, I am actually really, really horny for you right now.
Yeah. It's what it's
when
like.
I think about Leanne being sad, it makes me really excited.
But I think we are in a minority in being on Team
really?
Leanne in this. I'm seeing so many people say, well, they have been right from the beginning. Like, Nick and Toya are really interesting together. Blaming Leanne for being ensnared into this cult, saying, well, it was her own fault when she went off with that Rowan, and I can't accept that.
I'm just loving Leanne.
And I think the fact that this story is clearly setting us up for some mega Kill Bill-esque revenge. That's what I'm hoping for anyway.
Explosive.
I think we're supposed to be sympathising with Leanne. I don't think that they're going to be saying, this woman abandoned her husband and now she's feeling petty because he's now gone off with her sister, so look at her being revengeful. I think we're supposed to be going, go Leanne. And I loved the line in today's episode, which was like, "You're a Battersby. Start doing. Well, remember it, or whatever." I've probably written it down.
Did you write it down? I told you to write it down.
Yeah, no, I think I did. You're a Battersby, and if you want my advice, you better start acting like one.
That was just one of the best lines of several months.
Yeah, absolutely. I loved it.
Because not just that line, but what that line represents is excitement for me.
Well, we saw elements of it, didn't we, when Leanne first found out about Nick and Toya together a couple of months ago, and she slaps Leanne, and then she's just like uber sarky. Sorry, slaps Toya, and then she's uber
just petty and great.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I need to see. But I want it to be a long campaign, like we had with Eva. When she realised that Aidan and Maria were seeing each other. She had this months-long campaign of revenge. And I need it to be that, not just something that's over and done with in a week. I'm keeping my hopes up for this.
I definitely have said on this podcast, I'm not a fan of Leanne's. I've said that. I've been quite vocal about it, not really liking her, finding her a bit mardy. But since Oliver's storyline, I've just grown to really like her. Because number one, Jane Danson did a fantastic job with that storyline, and also I've just really appreciated and liked the way that Leanne just was completely in her feelings and didn't care what other people thought about it. And it's really refreshing because a lot of the time women are kind of like conditioned to worry about other people and care about hurting other people's feelings, but she was just really kind of like refreshingly selfish in how much she indulged in her own grief. And I think women should do that more. I think it's really important for women to put themselves first and not really, like, she knew what she wanted and she didn't care Like you support me or get out of my way, basically, was how she was with it. And I think a lot of the time people like in fiction to create these real, saintly suffering women, martyrs and like saint figures who just suffer and in a very tragic and beautiful, like literally beautiful way. Like, oh, my hair's perfect and my makeup's done and I'm really just sad. But she was just like, yeah, whatever. I'm gonna shout at you or shout at you. I'll tell you that you suck. I just want Oliver. I want him to get better.
I can't see how Nick and Toya have got any leg to stand on. And I know, you can't choose who you fall in love with. And I do.
But what do you do in that situation?
I buy that they love each other.
Yeah,
I've accepted that they love each other, and Ben and Georgia have done a great job at portraying that. But I still think,
but what do you
keep your
do?
Pants on.
Yeah, but
now's not an appropriate.
Okay, you don't need to start sleeping with each other before you. I don't know. Well,
they literally said, let's not do it just for the period that we're not on screen. And now our stories roll back round again. Let's drop our drawers.
They don't need to work. Yeah, but why? Why not?
What?
Why shouldn't they?
Because she's her sister.
So she can ever be with Nick because her sister was with him first. That's not how human beings work.
I think give it a bit of time.
Yeah, you got to give it a bit of time.
Which they haven't.
They can't because they love each other.
And she's been through such a horrific year with the Institute.
I know.
And now her dad's dead, and they're still like, well, let's just keep on doing it secretly then, I suppose.
Yeah, keep doing it secretly.
Look, let's run...
I said, like, Leanne with Oliver, that was the turning point for me to, like, really appreciate her as a character. But also, the Institute stuff, it's just great. She's just been great. And now...
we got more of that. We thought last week on the podcast that they said that Rowan's trial would be this week, didn't we? But now that is definitely it is definitely next week that we're going to see old Emrys back on our screen again.
I'm so excited for return of the Battersby.
Yeah.
Battle axe. Just bring it
on.
But
I still want, and I just don't know how this can happen, for this to end with Leanne and Toya as a united front, because they are so good as that dynamic duo, aren't they?
What? Who?
Leanne and Toya.
Oh, yeah. But
I can't see how. I mean, she knows the truth now.
We said,
how are they going to do it?
Oh, it's going to be great. We said, it's fantastic when they were together with Eva. They've kind of got that dynamic back a little bit, where it seems like the show cares their sisters.
Yeah, you're right.
They've always been kind of, because the actresses have got great chemistry with each other anyway, but the show's just been completely neglecting that relationship for a long time. And this really just feels like properly investing in core characters. And this,
And it's characters that they know that we care about and that have been key to the show on and off for the past 25 years or so.
The story with Betsy and the Warner Brothers and Mason and stuff, okay, intriguing. There's a great link there with the relationship with Swain and
Becky,
Carla and everything. But... compared to how much I care about that to this, it's just night and day, because these are characters that have been in the show for decades. You care what happens. You care. And
I know everyone's
Toya
got to start somewhere.
Yeah,
but...
yeah, that's fine. They started with a bang, didn't they? These two, but you care whether Toya and Leanne fall out with each other. I don't really care whether Betsy and Mason end up together. I don't really care whether
Betsy and Swain have had another falling out, or Betsy and her mum.
Not really that bothered. Yeah, I mean, not compared to this.
No. So look,
this is like investing in your strengths. This is Coronation Street doing a really fantastic job, and not that they're not doing a great job at the other storylines. It's just you can't make people care about characters.
But you do have your new viewers who don't have 25 years worth of history of these two to draw on. So for them, let's say you've just started watching in the past year or so.
That's true.
Toya and I may have heard of them of being the Battersby family, but
off-putting too, because you're like, I don't know how these people know each other.
Yeah, exactly. It might be easier to invest in a relationship where there's not much backstory to catch up on, possibly.
Even Leanne was surprised to remember that she is Chesney's half-sister this week.
Yeah, it's like, I'd probably better tell Ches.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
That's been the long-running...
I cannot believe that.
People always forget who's related to each other because they're all very incestuous in Weatherfield, aren't they? And people have these step brothers, mothers, sisters, aunties, whatevers. But today's was the Leanne's realisation of, I think I'm in some way related to Chesney, but I don't think I've said a single word to him for the past 20 years.
That kind of wound me up, because she's like, oh gosh, we better get Chesney. And then Chesney comes. This poor guy, I hate Chesney anyway, but he comes and he's like, oh, the family's arguing before the funeral's even begun. Chesney, you're not part of this family.
Yeah, exactly. Don't try and become a Battersby, Chesney. You're stuck with your Winter Browns. You chose your lot when you went off with Gemma and got her up the duff with 4 kids.
Yeah.
Or up the podge, as David referred to this week.
It's like, we don't consider you family. You might have realised that by the fact we completely ignore your plight and don't care you live in poverty when it suits you.
I like how they got Chesney in to have one little scene together, because they kind of should, but yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if that is your lot you're going to have.
He only turned up because they told him it was a free breakfast.
Yeah, sausage baps, yes please. Right, so Mondays this week, Toya comes into the bistro, her boiler's packed in, she's living in this grotty flat somewhere. She had a leak last week, what a nightmare. Nick's like, why don't you just move in with me?
Oh yeah, Leanne, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I forgot the Duke. Yeah, she's
you
around.
Just hide in the bedroom.
Yeah, so Toya doesn't need asking twice there. She doesn't want to move in with Nick straight away, but she does say that she's got rid of her flat and she's going to stay at a hotel for a bit. How she's going to pay for this for a while, I don't really know.
We're not going to dwell on it, but if you can't afford a flat that doesn't leak, you can't afford a hotel.
No, I mean, is Nick bankrolling her here? Is this going to be something else that Leanne... Oh no, she doesn't need to discover it, I suppose, really, does she? The cat's out of the bag now. Maybe Debbie's just doing it as a favour. I don't know. But anyway, the whole issue of Sam comes up and how he's going to feel when this all kicks off and comes out. And Nick says, "Look, let's rip the plaster off here. Come round for dinner tonight. We'll get this sorted." You get a little few scenes in the week with David and Nick just discussing what quagmire he's found himself in at the moment. Leanne's going to go berserk, etc., etc. But not too much David here. We get some. I
did like some of those scenes, and
again, I do like that they have the scenes. They're fairly superfluous, but they character build and they remind you of the relationships, and these are the sort of conversations that you would be having.
This is, I feel, Kate Brooks's influence. She's now producer. She's taken over the reins properly, and this, we've heard a bit of a vision, haven't we?
Yes.
I don't think I'm supposed to say anything about it.
It's still embargoed.
But, you can see the difference already in how people are talking to their friends and relatives and having scenes where they're talking about what's going on in their lives. That never really happened before.
I don't know. I think it's too early to call that. David and Nick have never been too far apart from each other.
I'll give them credit. Verity McLeod, who took over as interim, she's the one who got the ball rolling on David and Nick sort of gossiping about this kind of predicament. But I'm really loving this feel that we're investing in our characters and we're developing their characters.
I just worry that there aren't many families that we can do this with.
Oh, come on.
It doesn't feel like it's a show about families anymore to me.
Well, that's a warning.
It's just
Warner Brothers.
It's just a group of character, but I suppose there are, aren't there? There are the Barlows, the Baileys, the Websters.
Of course there are. What are you talking about? I think we, in the past, it felt easier to say, oh, this is a Platt story. This is a Barlow story. Oh, I can see, Kate Oates is building up the Barlows because they've been neglected because the Platts were at the centre stage. But you're right to say that really a lot of the stories don't revolve around, oh yeah, this is a so-and-so story. It's all, oh no, what's Betsy done now? Oh, Lauren's killed someone again.
Anyway,
it's because all the characters are new. Half the characters on the screen, like we said before, are new, and so they don't have family links.
No. Sam tells Nick later that
never going to see Gus again. This
is a bit weird. How long you spend with Toya? What's going on? Do you like Toya more than a friend?
Is that Sam saying that?
Yes. And Nick has to admit that they want to be together. It's all a bit of an awkward conversation, really, because Nick explains the deal, what's going on with him and Auntie Toya, and how we're going to tell Leanne after Rowan's trial, and we're going to break it to her really sensitively. So don't worry about it. Sam doesn't like this news.
Toya is a counsellor. So when she cheats, she does it ethically.
I love Sam just kind of blanking Toy when she comes round later trying to start a board game with him, and he's like, nope.
No thanks.
Nick's like, don't worry, I'll
No
come
thanks,
round.
bitch.
And they have dinner there, and Sam is just monosyllabic all the way through.
I
and,
really enjoyed how awkward this scene was.
well,
They
yeah,
did so
he's
tension
been
there.
really clever as well. Like where he was saying, "Oh, did you? So you and Leanne, sisters, right? Did you ever borrow things from each other, like boyfriends, when you were younger?" And he kind of huffs off.
And then she's like, no. It's like, yes, you did. You both had to go on Imran.
Yeah, I know.
You've forgotten already.
So that was a quite nice start to the week. Wednesday, Toya is feeling a bit stressed because we've got Ollie's memorial today, which we didn't see.
Knowing what happened to Nick, I would be to Imran. I would be worried if I was Nick, because one of Nick's weaknesses is car crashes. He's very vulnerable to car crashes.
Well, yeah, with the van. Yeah, I know. So anyway, Toya's worried that Leanne's going to find out about each other and
it's Ollie's memorial,
the relationship, and it's all very stressful, isn't it? And Nick says, "Look, let's just go on holiday to Tenerife when Leanne
Is it
finds
Tenerife?
out." Tenerife, yeah.
Okay.
Leanne's going to find out. Let's just disappear off for a little bit to give us some time to process this. That's kind of the cowardly way out, but is it a good move?
Once they tell her they're buggering off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
But, knowing what Leanne's like, I'd be worried that I'd be coming home
back
to a booby trap.
smoking crater.
Yeah, exactly. The Toya says, look, we need to wait until after the trial. We can't tell her until then. And I think these were kind of soap words of doom that Leanne's going to find out sooner than...
The whole thing was just a series of, like... One thing that we always said that we would never do is steal each other's boyfriends. And I can rely on you to never hurt me. And we keep secrets from each other. Even when we were children, we always had each other's back. Like, Leanne just kept saying things over and over again.
Just to drill in...
Just to remind you, I would be really sad if you cheated with my boyfriend, husband.
Yeah. Leanne's just being so nice. She's like brought a little rose bush for Rose.
That's what I said. On Wednesday, she was the nicest she's ever been in her life. And now she's learned a lesson, hasn't she? She thought she could let her guard down and not be a bitch all the time. And now what's happened? So she's going to revert.
I was a little bit surprised to have the rose thing brought up. And I think Toya did say it was around about this time of year that Rose's birth and death happened. But I was surprised that it got mentioned again, because it did feel a little bit like, here's something dramatic that had happened back in July or whenever it was. Let's never talk about it again. There's been a few too many things in this particular story that have been brought up as huge OMG moments, like Toya actually had a baby, and Toya's got ovarian cancer, and Les is dead, that are just pretty massive things to happen to the family that have been thrown in for incredibly temporary drama. And I suppose in a way it's good if they're going to say, well, yeah, we said that Rose is a thing, so we're going to keep referring to her now, but...
Do you know what? I wonder whether
they need to go smaller, maybe.
Les ever found out.
What about?
About Rose.
Yeah, he must... I'm going to say he must have done. He must have known that he... Well, it's a granddad-ish, but I know that Toya's not blood-related. Well, we get the impression that Leanne had been in touch with Les somewhat, because he phoned up a few weeks ago, didn't he, when he was drunk at the wrestling or whatever it was. So he must have known when it all came out with Toya. It's just a shame when you have these families that should be closer, but they're just not mentioned at all when something big happens. But that's obviously the way it goes in Soapland, and you can't get people back into the show again. Anyway, they have their memorial, and it's all gone lovely and everything. And Toya, Leanne saying, "Oh, you're my rock, you're my rock." I'm like you said, I would wouldn't things be devastating if you two were actually at it every time my back was turned?
And I'd really hate it if you involved Sam in some kind of lie.
I enjoyed the scene with Sam and Tracy, because they don't really have anything to do with each other, do they?
And I just want to say quickly, I thought it was very adorable. A few points that I saw, Tracy's expression and the way her mouth moved, it reminded me so much of the same expressions that Amy makes.
Oh, really?
And I know I know these two women are not related at all, and there's no reason that there would be any similarity, but I just kind of thought it was charming in a way, because perhaps
it wouldn't surprise me if Elle had learned off Kate.
Yeah, exactly, that's what I mean. Like, Elle has watched Kate. She's grown up as this daughter, the daughter of this mega soap character, and probably has picked up on the way that she acts in some way. And I just thought that was really cute that, like, the mother and daughter have these same kind of expressions on their face.
Micro expressions, yeah. Well, Sam asked Tracy if it's ever okay to lie, and yes. Tracy's like,
she's like, yeah, you can murder anyone you want. Did you say murder or lie? Sorry, what did you say?
Does Sam know about what Tracy's done?
I don't know.
I really don't. I mean, she's not shy about telling everybody, does she?
Because he's obsessed. He's, like, really fascinated by crime.
Yeah, and why people would do it.
Do you think he
hasn't had the conversation with Tracy yet about
why
did you club Charlie Stubbs round the head?
He was mean.
Yeah, he lied. He realises that this is his lesson. It's okay. White lies are all right sometimes. So he scurries off into the office.
Children's book that would teach you this.
They all have a little toast to Ollie and Rose. Toya goes behind the bar and tells Nick, "We can't tell everyone the truth. I just can't do this to Leanne. It's too much of a tragic time at the moment."
Pet peeve this week. So many times people toasted and then didn't drink. That is bad luck. Anything bad that happens to you,
didn't notice.
It's your on you now because you didn't toast. Particularly this scene, and also Tracy and Leanne on Friday when they were in the pub, they both toasted and didn't drink. Your plan's going to go wrong.
Leanne discovers the holiday email later, doesn't she? She's having a look in Nick's emails.
Trying to help
Sam out with something or other, and she sees this booking for the Tenerife holiday and says, like, what's going on here? Because Nick comes into the office and
£958.
This says that there's a booking for a double room. What's going on there then? And then Sam, with his newly acquired knowledge that it is okay to lie sometimes, jumps in and says it's for me. And I thought, smart move.
Smart move.
Yeah.
Smart kid.
But I feel so bad for Sam because he's like Roy.
He's Roy.
He is little Roy. He doesn't like lying. And so, and he's like totally stony faced when Nick tries to thank him for this later. Nick's looking like he feels pretty guilty. Nick has just been eating himself up this week with guilt and how bad a parent he's being to poor Sam and involving him in this cover up, which he knows is not necessarily ethically right to begin with. I wonder whether Sam's going to develop some kind of complex or lingering resentment to his dad.
Yeah, probably. And also I feel so sorry for this poor child too, because he's had so much, since his mum died. Now this is like the second woman.
It's trauma after trauma for him, and
he's losing Leanne, even though Leanne wasn't particularly fussed on helping Nick with him because she just lost Ollie, and she's slowly grown to, I wouldn't want to say love. I'm not sure, but she clearly cares about this kid, and now she's going, and then Toya's coming in. He must be not knowing what the heck's going on. But it would be interesting if he just started lying all the time.
I don't know. I've always been fascinated with how Sam's going to grow up, and I still don't think. He still feels to me like pretty much the same boy that came into the show, 4 or 5 years ago. I bet
if we saw a picture of him when he was first in it, we'd be like,
I've seen people online commenting that he looks quite a bit older recently.
He doesn't to me, but I'm child blind. I don't understand.
They're still dressing him up and making him up to look kind of the same, aren't they?
He looks younger than I think he actually is.
Yeah, I think he can only really stay like this for another 2 years tops, maybe, until it's going to start to be a bit odd.
Like me, I think, and you also, when we were kids, we looked like kids. We had little baby faces. But some people, but we did. We didn't we weren't the sort of kids that could go into an off license and trick someone into selling us alcohol because we looked older than we were. But there are some kids that I went to school with who look like grown-ups when they were young.
Yeah, I guess
he's got a baby face. Him and Hope both look very young.
Leanne finds out later on that Toya's been staying at the hotel because Steve mentions it, so that kind of sows a seed of mystery in her mind, I suppose. And at the end of the episode, there's quite a nice scene with her and Steve in the Rovers talking about Ollie. And Steve also says, "Oh, you were looking quite cosy with Nick." earlier on, and Leanne says, no, there's nothing happening there. Do you think at any point, if she hadn't made this discovery, were we going towards a potential Leanne's going to forgive Nick? Because it's obviously not going to happen now, at least not for the time being.
I don't know.
I think that enough water has passed under the bridge, and I know that this girl can hold a grudge.
Oh, they would. Yeah, you're right. Actually, that these two can't stay away from each other. They are soulmates. I think. As much as I like Toya and Nick and think there's legs in it, and a few years, I still think that they will end up.
It wouldn't surprise me if Nick and Leanne did end up back together again in the end.
It wouldn't surprise me at all. There are just some couples that feel like, these two really are.
But not.
They've been together since they were teenagers.
Not enough other people agree with us on that one.
Screen. They've been together since they were teenagers.
Anyway, end of the
not
episode.
The same heads.
End of the episode. Nick has said that they just need to tell Leanne the truth tomorrow, so it's all out in the open, because I can't bear to lie to my son anymore. So he starts off...
No, he's not lying to his son. He's lying about...
involve my son in my lies anymore. Nick invites her around on Friday, and he's looking very stressed out because he knows what she's like when she gets bad news, and he's just about to tell her when Sam comes in, all ready for school, and all cherubic looking, and so that puts it off for a little bit. And then Nick's just about to tell her again, and there's a buzz from downstairs. It's a police officer coming around the flat at 8 o'clock in the morning to give them some news about Les.
Nick opens the door. She doesn't say hello. She didn't acknowledge him in any way. She walks straight past him, goes, "Are you Leanne Battersby?" "Oh, excuse me.
I want to know.
I own this house, actually. Where's your warrant? Get out."
Where I'm losing track of... Like, why did the police officer think that Leanne would be there anyway?
Because she hasn't updated an address on
I suppose it's been a little while since she's been moved out. But
how do they find anyone's address?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was. I suppose it was quite a happy coincidence that Leanne was there, because she doesn't spend a whole lot of time in that place anymore, does she? But
I wonder if they had something on next to kin or something at work.
No, maybe.
Have you written my name down?
Yes, of course I have.
In case there's a horrible accident at school.
At my work. So yeah, Les is dead.
I know.
Les Battersby is no more. He had an accident at work.
Was it his fault?
I don't know, because they're being just incredibly vague.
It's like they're scared of being sued.
I like how they made, I think it was Chesney made the joke of, like, oh, what are the odds of that? Les at work being the shirker that he was. And I like that they had him die at work, and isn't that funny? But why were they so... cagey? It's not like, we better not say what Les is doing for work now, just in case we need to make up something 5 years down the line and it doesn't gel with what he's saying.
Imagine
what happened to him. I want to know the grisly details.
I think it's even more tragic if a skyver dies at work, because it's like they were right all along and they shouldn't have gone.
What?
No, I know, it's really intriguing. It's like, do you remember when they did the tram crash, and the tram company was like, "We're not going to let you use our tram unless you make it so it wasn't the driver's fault. You have to show him putting the brakes on, otherwise you're not doing it." And they're like, "Okay, fine." Is it like, you better not make him a builder that got a brick on his head, otherwise we're going to sue you for making builders look incompetent?
I don't know. I mean, we did our Patreon episode just this past weekend, didn't we, about top 5 off-screen deaths that we'd wish we'd seen.
Yeah.
And a lot of them that we talked about were these big explosive car accidents that just they didn't film for one reason or another, or the actors weren't available, and a few other bits like this. But I'm really just intrigued to be able to see Les's death, if only to find out what was he doing.
Well, I actually did look up from the... on the internet.
Did you? You did some research.
I went to the Health and Safety Executive website, which is the government branch that does statistics and stuff about how do you die at work. And I found that Oh,
so you got the most common cause of death at work?
Yeah, like not very many people die at work actually in this country. It's like 100 and... 100 and something. 100 and...
What, per year?
Yeah.
Okay.
138 people. So he's one of these people. 138 people died at work this last between 23 and 24.
Yeah.
And
what's the most common cause?
I'm just going to let you know. The industry, most likely most people die in construction. Then it's agriculture, forestry and fishing.
I can't see Les as a farmer.
I can see him chopping trees down though. Manufacturing.
He did do a bit of tree chopping on the Red Wreck, didn't they, when they were trying to clear it?
Also, then transportation and storage, and then it gets lower. This was worrying. Wholesale, retail, motor repair, accommodation and food. 11 people died last year from being in a hotel. Administrative and support services, 9 people. Waste and recycling, 4 people died last year.
Oh, there we go.
And the things that happen to you, by far the most, are falls from height. That was 37 people. But that's a much improvement on the year before because 50 people fell off something the year before.
What?
Let me finish.
Okay.
Struck by a moving vehicle, then struck by a moving object, then trapped by something collapsing, which is horrible, and contact with machinery. Ugh. And then other things happen as well. And then I think...
So one of those was Les, we just will never know.
Those do not include accidents where you're travelling on a highway, because those are just road traffic accidents.
Okay.
And it also doesn't include people travelling by air or sea, or armed forces, or natural causes like heart attacks or strokes.
Well, it seems like there's so much there could have been and they just didn't decide.
Those administrative people... It wasn't like they just had a heart attack and died at work. Something happened to them while they're typing on a computer and they died. That's illegal.
Maybe they were just going through the emails and they found out that some foreign prince has left them £1 billion and they had a heart attack.
No, it doesn't include heart attacks.
You said that, didn't you? Yeah.
So what? Maybe Les was a receptionist and somebody came in and dropped a computer on his head.
Well, the last job that we know that Les did was he was being a roadie for the ZZ Top of the Morning tribute band. So maybe he got crushed by a giant speaker.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Or he had to
electrocuted by plugging something in.
Or he was in a mosh pit or something and he got moshed to death.
Up in the rigging, putting lights up, and he fell onto the stage.
I really don't know. Maybe we will know.
Just tell us, because I'm really...
They're saying that the funeral is happening. I think we can't avoid talking about the massive fallout that there's been online between Bruce Jones and Coronation Street and some of the other actors.
I don't think Bruce Jones has said anything recently.
I think that but this news came out 2 months ago.
It was Vicky Entwistle that was...
I know, I think he has as well.
Oh, okay. She's furious.
She's Vicky Entwistle. Don't get her started on this.
Because the story is that...
Who played Janice.
Yeah,
Battersby.
So his wife in the show. The story is that he found out via email.
Yeah.
And she thinks this is a very disrespectful way. I mean, yes, but also they've just not told people before.
I mean, there are quite a lot of characters who just get assumed to be dead or assumed to be alive. And I suppose... Did they need to kill off Les?
It's interesting, isn't it? What did they? I don't know.
But if what I was saying earlier is true, and it was just going to be nothing's going to come of it. All it's done is to raise the stakes for one episode and precipitate this truth coming out.
I know that they
and to kill off quite often the off-screen deaths, like with Kirsty, for example. So many people are saying they didn't need to do that, and with characters whose actors are dead, maybe, and they've killed them off, like Bill Webster, fine, whatever. But it's a bit of a shame, although. Les was never going to come back, and maybe as a viewer I'm feeling, well, at least we've got a bit of closure on there now.
The behind the scenes story about Bruce Jones leaving Coronation Street is very widely known. We don't usually do gossip and talk about behind the scenes stuff because the real people, it's kind of distasteful to talk about their personal lives when it's nothing to do with us really. But this is part of the reason why we know Les would never return to Coronation Street is because he was embroiled in this scandal where he divulged plot points to a journalist undercover. And, Vicky Entwistle's talked about that too and said that he was set up, basically. And it was very unfair what happened to him, according to her. You can have your own opinions on that, but she feels he was very badly wronged. And now, this has happened too. He was never going to come back because of revealing the
too
secrets.
much water under the bridge there, really.
So it felt very unlikely that he would have returned, and the same with her because she's been very vocally critical of some of the stories.
I think Wendy Peters has spoken out as well.
Has she?
Yeah.
It's a shame because I think you should be able to say what you like, and I think that we're really rude sometimes about Coronation Street. They still let us in the doors, don't they? They don't tell us where to go. They understand, but it's different when you've worked there, I think. But you would have thought that a new producer would have said, new clean slate. If I want to bring it back, I will. It's not me he's talking about. I don't care if he criticises it, because really at the end of the day, if you're an actor and you need work, you're gonna have to eat crow and come back if they ask you if you want to go back, even if you've criticised them, and then you'll say nice things about them in the press again, won't you?
One thing about killing off a character like this off screen, as well as being some sort of closure to it, it does stop the questions of why didn't so and no. I'm thinking like, why didn't so and so turn up at the wedding?
Oh yeah,
why
that's
didn't
true.
so and so go to hospital to visit Leanne when she was involved in X accident? When Ollie was dying, where was Les? At least we don't have that anymore.
Yeah, sometimes an off-screen death feels like they've played a trump card for no reason. Like Kirsty dying.
Yeah.
Was like, you could have used that for a much more dramatic purpose than you have. You've just wasted an opportunity. Is this that? I don't think so.
What did you think about the whole he got told by an email? I don't know what he was expecting.
I don't want to speculate too much about it because I don't feel like it's my place.
I don't know what the
to
industry
say.
standard is when things like this happen.
I think Coronation Street did come out and say we apologise, and we've spoken to him since. I might be making that up.
I can't remember. I don't think they did. I mean,
I don't know.
I would say they didn't have to tell him.
Well, this is what has happened in the past. People find out from somebody saying, I saw on TV that your character's dead.
Yeah. Like, I think that's what happened with Maggie Clark, for example, when Jackie died. I don't think that they even told her. So the fact that they emailed Bruce to tell him, sorry, we're going to kill off Les. Yeah.
It depends on how they told him. I don't, also, it would be a very weird conversation to have with somebody. Hello, your character's dead. Like, it's going to be emotional. But and also the person's telling you, they're not emotionally connected to this. They don't really care. It's not a real person to them, but it is to you. This person has been very close to you if you've been playing them in a soap.
Yeah.
It's a really emotional thing that you probably wouldn't be prepared to support somebody in going through. Like, hi, I'm sorry, I just work in administration on Coronation Street. I'm just letting you know.
Let you know. Yeah, but I think that Corrie does sometimes keep in touch every now and then. We hear that,
Well, some people...
Does Kevin Kennedy sometimes have meetings with producers or does Charlie Lawson just to...
There's professional relationships and there's personal ones. And a lot of the people who've been in the show have both of those categories. And they're more likely to be, kept in the loop, I think.
Yeah.
But with Bruce Jones, it feels like all the ties were cut.
Yeah.
And so he didn't have an inside contact. He didn't. I don't know. I'm glad it's not my problem, honestly. That I don't worry about these things because some of the actors are very emotionally attached to their characters.
Do you think that they paid suitable?
And also, Bruce has had a really hard life.
Yeah, he's had some big issues which he's spoken out openly about with addictions and discovering the victim of the Yorkshire Ripper.
He's spoken about that and it affected him very, very badly.
Yeah, so it wouldn't be surprised if this did feel like a bit of a kick in the teeth.
It's never going to be good to hear your character's dead.
No, it's just closing a door finally, isn't it?
I don't know what to say.
But do you think that they at least paid tribute to him well enough on the show?
I think it was a nice send-off.
I think it was a fairly nice send-off. It was interesting because they had the characters kind of gathering around on today's episode saying, oh, he was a nice chap. And remembering those who needed to. Like, we had Chesney, we had Kirk, we had Leanne and Toya. And yes, there could have been more, but they didn't necessarily need everybody.
Well, there was a funeral. I don't know if we're going to see it.
I don't think we're going to see Les's funeral. I really don't. But they didn't necessarily reference too many plots or exact things, but they just said, he liked beer, didn't he? And Chesney makes the remark about Schmeichel later in the episode. And
Lizzie looks at a picture of him and cries.
Yeah, that was nice getting that out.
And, you know,
and to be honest, I think that is more than some characters get.
Yes.
So
Look, and he's already had a send off.
they don't
He
need
already
to
left
say,
the show
"Oh,
once.
do you remember that time that he fell through the ceiling in the jacuzzi?" Because everyone else remembers that.
But he's already had a send off because he left the show.
Yeah, but he didn't have a send off then, did
Oh.
he? He just was in it for one episode, and then he wasn't in it anymore. His departure back in
right.
2007 was so quick.
There you go then.
Now maybe he's got that send off, and it's nice that there's enough characters on the show that were related to him that they can do it.
I think it's strange because they could have just used the fact that it was Oliver's memorial for the emotional impact they needed.
Yes, absolutely. So we're going to find out hopefully that there is more to this than just, you're right, adding to the emotional impact of it. It was not needed whatsoever.
And I just want to also give a shout out to how wonderful, Jane Danson and Georgia Taylor were in performing these scenes of them just being devastated, and also Sam Astin, who plays Chesney.
Wheeling him out for a scene just to remind us that they are somewhat related.
I felt so. It was really awkward as well at the breakfast where he was like, "Well, I've got to go because I'm getting the sense that." Also, my child's vomiting.
Yeah.
So
Alan's stepping all over it.
I hope it's nothing catching because you got it now.
Right. So anyway, look,
bye.
let's just rush through this then, because I think we've gone over the main plot points. But Leanne's being told about the dad's dead. Leanne's saying, she's saying that she's a bad daughter because we did have this phone call a few weeks ago which she kind of dismisses, and now she's kind of realising. And I think a lot of people would probably relate to this. Realising, the last time I spoke to somebody before they died, we were arguing, or there were crosswords, or I dismissed him, or whatever. But it just builds up the grief for her that she's a terrible daughter, and then kind of rushes off because she realises she needs to tell Toyah. But Nick gets in there first and gives her the phone call first, which I don't think he really needed.
He doesn't give her a phone call. He goes and tells her, doesn't he?
No, I thought that. No, he phoned her.
Well, she came in to the bistro with Nick behind her.
Yeah, but as soon as... Yeah, but Nick... Well, no, remember, Leanne rushes out of the flat and then Nick picks up the phone call to Toyah and says, something's happened. He didn't really need to do that. He just wants to get in there first.
All right.
So, Toyah and Leanne have a bit of a hug at the bistro.
I guess it's because he wanted to warn her, like, if Leanne comes up to you and she's crying, don't go, sorry, Lee, I loved him, I couldn't keep my knickers on. Because it's not that, it's that Les has died. It
really was just, in my mind, a way of engineering suspicion in Leanne's mind, because she's kind of thinking, how did Toyah find out?
Yeah, well, I would be furious if I was Leanne and I told Nick, I'm going to tell my sister.
Well, she wasn't she?
Yeah, I know, but she's right to be. Because this is like, there's no like, what's the plausible explanation for why Nick went behind her back?
Especially when she went off to say, I'm going to tell her.
And he's like, let me do it. And she's like, no. I think this was really clever. This setup was really clever. Because,
I found it clumsy.
No, because Nick had to tell her. Nick couldn't get away with not telling her. And then Toyah wasn't going to mention it. But Leanne asked her point blank. And she was trying to...
Why did Nick have to tell her?
Because Leanne's going to see Toyah. Toyah knows Nick's about to confess that they've been sleeping together. Because Nick says, I'm telling her tomorrow. Next scene, Nick's about to tell her, the police come in. So Nick has to quickly phone Toyah and go, if Leanne comes up to you crying, don't just blurt out, like all us soap characters do, that, are you crying about the thing that I shagged your boyfriend? It's not that, it's that Les is dead. I've got to tell you.
He could have just texted her back and said, no, I've not told her yet.
It was too risky for Nick to have it come out with Toyah being caught off guard by knowing that Leanne was about to be told they were sleeping together, and then it not being that she's come to confront Toyah about. Think about it. Okay. This was really clever and neat.
So they go and have this meeting in the bistro. I really liked the bit where...
What meeting?
The isn't Les great? Let's toast him.
It's not a meeting, it's breakfast.
Family breakfast together. I love the bit where Leanne's in the back of the room with the back of the bistro with Nick and kind of saying, "Oh, you've been my rock. You've been so supportive."
And
then when he leaves the room, you get this glint in her eye, like, right, I'm doing something here. So she goes to open the hotel email, gets the number, calls the hotel, pretends to be Toya. It's like, oh, just checking about the booking. So this is the cast iron evidence that she needs now, that her sister is now boinking her ex-husband still. And I was wondering, did you think that she was going to jump out at them in the hotel when she's spying on them, arranging their little
this is why
meeting
it's so
between the sheets?
So Leanne has not changed her surname, has she? She's still Leanne Battersby even when she was married to Nick.
Yeah, but we commented when we were watching it today that Toya is Miss Habib rather than Mrs. Habib.
This is my point I was going to make, right? There's really interesting, the kind of extra layer of meaning in the conversation that Leanne and Tracy have, where Tracy says to Leanne, "You're a Battersby. Don't forget you're a Battersby." Because Toya ain't a Battersby anymore. She's a Habib. She lost her Battersby touch. Is she about to be taken down by the true Battersby here?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
The one remaining Battersby.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
I think it's significant that she hasn't changed her name in the symbolic kind of, literary way that, she's lost the Battersby spirit.
Yeah. This all comes out, doesn't it? Because Leanne's gone to the Victoria Gardens, found Nick's wreath for Ollie, torn it up. Tracy comes in and is like, what's going on here? So they go back to the pub.
Well, I love this as well, because Leanne lays into Tracy and says, how could you cheat on blah, 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 blah. And she's really talking about Nick
as
and
if Leanne has never cheated on anyone in the past.
Nick and Toya.
Yeah, so Leanne is now, with guidance from Tracy, hopefully, going to become this force for vengeance like Weatherfield has never seen before. And it's taking it slowly at the beginning. She goes around to see Nick at the end of the episode with a bottle of wine, kind of saying, "Oh, look, I'm really sorry. I had to go at you." Did you know? No, she didn't have a go at him earlier. She's just like, I'm really struggling at the moment. Can I move back in again just for a little bit? And Nick's like, and he has to go along with it. She says, Nick, you're the best.
Help me, Obi-Wan, you're my only hope.
So she's now moving into the Victoria Court flat again. I can't even begin to imagine what form her revenge is going to take, but I'm sure it's going to be incredibly satisfying and catty. And
using his toothbrush to clean the toilet, which you shouldn't do, because
do you think
that's like chemical warfare.
Before, when she found out about Toya and Nick together, she did try for a little bit to.
Oh yeah, she did the evil stay with smirk.
No. I'm saying she tried to still stick with Toya to say, well, it's my man that's done the dirty. I know you did as well, but I need you, and you're my sister.
You'll always be my sister.
Yeah, is she gonna stick with this again, or has Toya done too much?
Burn the bridges now. Oh, I'm so excited.
I'm very excited about this next week.
Well, Tracy's like,
I don't know how it's going to play out at the Rowan's trial either.
I'm really surprised that Leanne has not said to Tracy, keep your mouth shut. I've got something in mind. She's not...
Yeah, that scene at the end in the rain.
Tracy comes up to her and says, you're not moving in with him. What are you doing? You cheated on you. He's having sex with your sister. And she's like, I'm nobody's fool. But she should have been like, "Don't worry, I'm going to make some drama."
I kind of preferred the idea of thinking that Tracy and Leanne were putting their heads together in the booth, and then
happen.
Tracy's like, "Well, what you need to do is..."
Yeah, that would have been great, but she's not doing. I mean, I would do that just for the drama. I would, if somebody came to me and said, "I need some ideas for revenge," I'd be like, "Right, let's get a whiteboard out."
They just make a fantastic double act, and I hope that Leanne does enlist Tracy in this humiliating takedown, which is surely going to come out around Christmas time.
She's got to tell her.
I'm sure she can keep it going until then.
Keep your mouth shut, because she could blow her cover here.
Yeah, totally. I think Tracy's smart enough to know.
But Tracy's the kind of person who would find that hilarious.
Right, let's move on from this story. Lauren, Frankie, all that kind of jazz.
See, now... Okay.
We're back to a story that I'm feeling a little less bothered about.
I know, this is the sad bit.
Frankie, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Everybody's doing great in this story, but I don't care about it as much as I care about...
I kind of got a bit confused about... Has it been decided yet whether Frankie can stay with Lauren or not? Yes,
it has.
And she can?
He can, yes.
He can.
Because on Friday, so I watched... This morning, Oh no, Wednesday they decided.
Well, there was the scene midweek where Frankie is kind of symbolically handed over to Lauren, but then Wednesday. It was still on the cards that maybe Frankie would have to stay with Max.
Yes, because she's going to go to prison.
Oh, so is this mother and baby thing just...
Let me explain it.
Okay, I might need that.
On So this morning I had to go to the allotment, and so I decided to watch Coronation Street before I went, and I got so far through Wednesday's episode, but I didn't get to finish it, and I was like, oh, Lauren's found out whether she can stay with the baby or not. And I was like, okay, I'll just keep watching it till I find out whether she's going to stay with Frankie or not. And then they never told me. I had to go to the allotment, like, wondering what's going to happen. So
I know you're really invested in
So
this.
the mother and baby unit is a part of the hospital prison where you can stay with your baby until they are 18 months old.
Yes,
I got that. The idea is that at the moment she has not been found guilty. She's on remand, so she's in prison, but she hasn't been convicted of a crime. And the chances, who knows which way it's going to go. Either she's going to be in prison for years, and Frankie will be taken away from her at the age of 18 months, or she'll be let out, and then she can go home with Frankie.
Right.
So when they're deciding, are we going to let you stay with your baby, they've got to decide all these things, like how likely is it that she's going to be sent down for this crime? Like if the crime you're accused of is got a sentence for less than 18 months, they probably wouldn't even think about it. They'd be like, yeah, of course you can be with your baby. You need to stay with your baby. But the problem is, in this case, that it's possible that she could be with Frankie for 18 months, then this poor baby gets taken from its mother and given to somebody else until she comes out of prison, which could be when he's, an adult. You don't know how long she's going to be in there. So, in the best interest of Frankie, do you want this child to be raised by somebody that he can't be with after 18 months? That seems really unfair, because then he's going to be uprooted and it's really damaging to the child's development. So should he then be with a friend or family who is going to be a constant in their life, even if it's not the mother?
I see. Thanks for that.
I looked it up earlier.
I thought you were just really clever.
Well, I found a website about it.
Right, what's gone on here? Do you want to rush down the goings on in Lauren? What she got to cry about this week?
There was a weird scene on Monday where this guard we've never seen before is like, "Don't worry, Lauren, it will be all right." Who are you? Anyway, Shona and David are like, Max has gone a bit mad here, hasn't he? He's kind of like got in his head this like picket fence weird.
Well, he was talking about, I see Max as my own child.
No,
he was saying on Frankie is my own child on Wednesday, wasn't he?
Shona and David,
like, steady on, mate.
I'd be out of my mind worrying here, because these two are so. These two kids have been together for like 5 minutes. And now he's talking about raising this child and living with you. Like, you haven't even been with her long enough to buy her a Valentine's Day card, let alone raise her child in my house. And I don't even know if you're going to be living here. Yeah. You must be bonkers. Max is just living in La La Land. He's buying baby clothes. And Shona and David are very worried about this. And Max is like, look, I'll do it with or without you. I said I'd help her and I will.
Yeah, David, I think, is very right to be
what he's
concerned
doing.
that he's just marching on this without actually thinking about what the consequences could be.
With it is that there's no one else. I don't think I could say, I'm sorry, I'm not looking after your baby, if the alternative was the foster system and care homes, because they're the best one in the world. They are very tough, bad places. For a lot of people. Some people have alright experiences, but I wouldn't be able to put somebody through that, I don't think. But that's not what they're thinking. That's not what Max is thinking. He's just like, oh, she's really pretty.
Yeah.
So Max chats with Dee Dee in Victoria Gardens about the plans for the Platts to look after Frankie, because at the moment they don't know if Lauren's going to keep him in the mother and baby unit or if he's going to come out. But at the end of the day, in 18 months, if she's still in prison, they're going to have to take him anyway. So they're talking about that, and he's like, do you think that they would let us do that? Would they consider it? And Dee Dee's like, I don't know. We'll have to wait till after the meeting. Well, I'm not going. And he's like, oh, I can't believe you're not going. You're horrible. And makes her feel really guilty.
Oh, yeah, that's just a little bit of drama before she eventually turns up.
So when they have this meeting, Lauren's really struggling to make a good account for herself. And she starts off quite well, making the case that the first 18 months is very important for the baby's development. You can't take it away. And then when the woman's like, look, we've got to think about all the options, Lauren starts to get agitated and starts, I'm his mum, it's me, I should be able to look after him. And I know some people are have criticised her for being very emotional in situations where it gets her in trouble. But I know people like this, and this is what they're like. So I'm not so. I find this very realistic.
Oh yeah.
So Dee Dee comes in. And she's like, sorry, I'm late. And then she gives all this spiel. Like, this kind of annoyed me. She's like, I think it would be scandalous to separate this mother from her baby. How dare you? It's like, yeah, we know. This is what we're here to decide. Do you think you're the first person to come in here and mention the fact that we're separating a baby from a child?
That's the whole point of what we're doing here.
Yes, that's what we're deciding at the moment. Keep up, Dee Dee.
Well, it seems to do the trick.
Well, she
it?
says, Lauren acted out of bravery and struck Mr. Deering in defence of another. And they're like, oh, that's interesting. What happened then?
Yeah, but what about the body bag?
Yeah.
We were watching it.
If the rock wasn't his head. Right, so they go, okay, we'll think about it. So Lauren goes and talks to Max on the phone, and she mentions that Dee Dee arrives, and Max is like, oh, she did turn up in the end. And Lauren's like, what do you mean? And he says, oh, I just think she was unwell and she wasn't going to make it. But she did. And Max also says, I've got to work on David and Shona about Frankie living here. I'm not sure that they're going for it. And Lauren gets really upset and puts the phone down. And then Max tells Shona and David about what's happened. And Shona says, we've decided it's okay that Frankie can stay here if he needs to. And Max is like, hooray!
David not so sure.
No. On Wednesday, the mother and baby person comes in and goes, I've got news for you, Lauren, but you're going to have to wait until Gemma comes back from the allotment to find out what it is. Then we have the social worker come in to have a meeting with Max, Lauren and David, Shona and David. And I thought this was really previous because it's like, we don't even know if you need to be here at the moment.
Well,
what are you coming around for?
That's what got me confused a little bit, because when she came in I was thinking, oh, so has she been told that she can't have him?
No, she hadn't. So she's talking, saying, what do you think? What do you guys think about this? And she can tell that Dave is not really convinced that this is a good idea. And then Max gets the phone call from Lauren, who we find out in the next scene, because she's sitting on the bed crying, and then somebody brings the baby in. I was like, oh, they're letting her say goodbye before they take him away. But no.
This time she's crying with happiness.
Oh, that is a new
type
twist.
of crying for Lauren.
She's moved on. So Shona and Max go to visit Lauren.
Next time, let's try cutting onions. It's one in the bistro that you can use.
Next time, maybe she'll cough so hard it brings tears to her eyes.
Yeah.
That might be an interesting scene.
Or maybe she'll nick Swain's mace spray again and accidentally squirt herself in the face
She'd
with
be
it.
like, it seems to be blocked. Let me test it by staring into it and pressing the button. So Shona and Max go to visit Lauren, and Shona's like, look, sorry that we shocked you. And Lauren's like, yeah, well, probably would have got found out in the end anyway. And Max says, we'll look after Frankie if it comes to it. And Shona's like, oh, I too have a missing baby. It reminds me. So when David comes home later, Shona's in a bad mood because she doesn't want to talk to him about it. And he's like oblivious, kind of. And when she storms off and when she comes back, he's still not really getting what's happening. And so she says, I want to see Clayton. This has made me realise, when Lauren was talking about her baby, it made me realise I want to see my baby. And she's not on the approved visitors list. And David's like, listen, so I know how you feel, I understand, but also I can't bring myself to care, honestly, because the last time I really thought about, he killed my wife. Yeah. I was lying in the street with her blood on my hands, cradling her corpse, screaming into the sky. They did a really great scene, and they kind of did a big camera shot. Big crane shot.
Remember?
You weren't there. It was sad. Everyone said I was a great actor. So that was emotion, okay? I don't forgive him. I don't forget. Yeah. I'm not going to move on.
He could be a little bit more sensitive to her, but he's a no... he's got no requirement
he's very blunt,
to forgive.
But at least he's honest, and he's not like, no, you go, I'm fine, I won't mind. He's like, no, not happy with it at all. So Friday, she takes a day off anyway to go and see Clayton.
Well, she kind of sneaks off without telling David, doesn't she? There was a whole scene about him saying, well, don't do anything until I've said. But
she's like, I don't need your permission.
It doesn't really turn into much in the end, because when she comes home after seeing him, he's like, oh, you went off to go and see him, did you?
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, I'll go and see him again. It kind of felt a little unnecessary and a bit of a setup for more dramas for next week, because even the scene that we get to see in the hospital where she rushes in is only like 1 or 2 scenes long, isn't it?
Well, Clayton and probably...
Anonymous prison guard.
Is it? I thought it was policeman.
Police guard.
Maybe it was a prison guard. It's just bored out of his head, isn't he? Sitting in there going, oh my God.
Been sitting there for 2 weeks.
If you want someone to sit in a hospital room with somebody and not talk to them, I'm your girl.
Yeah.
I hate talking to people, but I love sitting.
As long as you can have your podcast on.
Yeah.
Not too bad a
Look,
job,
can I just have one earbud in? I'm not going to have both earbuds in. Don't worry. I'll be able to hear it if he runs away. So anyway, Shona bursts in. First of all, she lurks and then she bursts in.
She lurks and then runs away when she gets spotted like, ooh, I'm not really here.
Ooh, you can't see me. Comes in, I love you, I need to see you. And they're like, no, you're going to get arrested if you don't leave.
Well, he still is under the impression that she...
Spurned him.
Yeah, spurned him, that's
And
it,
said-
earlier by saying, and said,
Well,
I don't
you
want
know,
anything to do with it, because that's what David told
From his
him.
perspective, David turns up, says, Shona hates you and wishes you were dead. And then he tries to kill himself and now he's in hospital. And she turns up and goes, sorry. Well, she doesn't even say sorry. She says, I love you. And he's like, no, you don't love me because you told me that you didn't. Get bent. He's really unhappy to see her. And she runs home and tells David what she's done. And she's like determined to see him again and she wants to visit him.
It
properly.
feels to me like she's going to get in there again next week, and he feels like he's had a bit of a change of heart, hasn't he? So I think that we're going to Clayton. He was saying, "Oh, you know, I've seen the error in my ways. Killing is bad," and I think that him and Shona are going to have a nice makey up moment.
Well, prediction, of course, is that he's gonna go to see him. He's gonna say, David told me what you said.
Yeah.
She's gonna say what, and he's gonna say that you hate me. She'll say, look, maybe I don't love that you tried to kill me and you also killed Kylie, but you're my son and I could never hate you. I love you no matter what you do. Then he'll say, well, you know, why did David say that? And then she'll go back home and she'll confront David, and then there'll be this wedge between them.
And the whole lingering deleted emails is still there. I mean, she seems to have fallen for David's lies that she deleted them herself or it went straight into the junk or whatever he's peddling at the moment. But it's all going to come out and...
Well, it's a bloody good job that Lauren's got custody of Frankie now, because if
that house is going to be torn apart very soon.
It's going to be absolute chaos in about a week.
Well, there's also the whole thing about David and the money, which seems to have been conveniently forgotten about. And yet again, you know, how many episodes has it been since we've seen Jesse and Gail? What on earth is going on there?
I know.
I would have thought that they might have something to say about some of this that's going on.
What's the guy? John Tom...
Yeah.
Kins.
Tomlinson.
Tomlinson.
I can't remember.
Do you want a gig on Corrie? Yeah. How many episodes? 2.5.
Basically, isn't it?
Who am I going to play? Gail's boyfriend. Well, she's a main character. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Utterly bizarre.
So
I'm still somewhat enjoying this.
So who knows about only Jesse and David know about the money.
David and Jesse know about the money, and that's it. So he's probably going to spill to Gail next time they deign to put them on scene together.
The sad bit about this is that if he put that in a stocks and shares ISA, he could be earning up to 5%.
I know.
Annually on that.
Right.
How much did he get?
Who?
David.
Thousands, I don't remember.
Thousands?
Enough to put down a deposit on the house, so he thought.
It's only, I mean,
So
it'd
he hoped.
be about, you know, it depends on how much, maybe 100 quid a month he's missing out on the interest there. He could put it into premium bonds and get 50 grand like Ken.
Yeah. So summing up what's been going on with Chesney this week, as we kind of mentioned it enough early, Gemma's bogged off to Portsmouth just for a bit of R&R for whatever reasons.
Quite nice, actually.
And Chesney, Kel Surprise, is struggling bringing up 5 kids on his own without enough money coming in, even though he's got 2 jobs, but they're not enough to pay all the bills. And for some reason, he takes leave of his senses on Monday's episode and parks his car in front of a van who had the audacity to go into a space before him. And then, unsurprisingly, when this guy wants to get out again, he nudges against Chesney's car.
Honestly, Chesney is lucky that he didn't have him towed. Because there's always signs in these places you can get towed. If a security guard or somebody saw him blatantly blocking somebody in the ITV Coronation Street set studios car park, You could have been towed.
Yeah.
And that would have cost you a few £100.
Bizarre decision making.
This really
from Chesney
annoyed
there.
me. This was just stupidity.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got no one to blame but himself. And then Wednesday's episode was about him nearly getting hit by said van again, or at least a similar looking van, and he now thinks that a van driver is out for revenge on him, which is... I was watching this just utterly baffled about what on earth is this story. Do we really...
I loved Bernie's, like, when he explains it to Bernie, she's like, so what, the guy's taking revenge on you because he ran into your car?
He doesn't even know where you live, Chesney.
Why would the man take revenge on you? Because you're the one that was wronged. Also, why is he bothering with insurance for his car? You got a dent in your door. It's not the end of the world, love. It just looks messy. You got 5 kids. You don't have a nice car. Get over it.
There's a little strangely prophetic scene at the end of Wednesday's episode where Joseph is like, "Oh, everyone's dying at the moment. My mum died. Paul died," and Ches is like, "Don't worry, nobody's gonna die anymore."
That's the end of death.
I mean, has Joseph ever met Uncle Les?
Oh no,
I would say probably no.
Uncle Les loves them kids. He's always round there.
So Friday's episode is Chesney stressing around with this ironing board. It seemed like a little kidsy ironing board, didn't it? It looked really dinky.
He didn't seem to understand how to make it taller. It really annoyed me.
Yeah.
Why are you ironing a
I would have thought that Chesney would have been... he would have chipped in and done a little bit of ironing in that house. I suppose it's because Gemma's on the phone at the same time. And
I got 5 kids, nothing's being ironed. We don't iron anything anyway in this house.
No, that's true actually.
You don't need to iron things.
We do not iron things in our house, and we're not slobs.
This generation, millennials and below, don't iron things. What's the point? It's a waste of time.
Anyway,
just dry it nicely, and it doesn't need ironing.
His dramas compound with the news that Uncle Les has died, and he gets a bit sad and has a little grieving sesh with Bernie later, and he's like, "Oh, I feel a bit bad about this because I haven't really spoken to him that much in the past 15 years since he's been last seen in Weatherfield." And
I was really surprised.
Bernie says, "Well, we don't have the monopoly on grief. It's fine." It was quite nice, that scene.
Yeah, it was nice. I was surprised he was only in for 4 years.
Yeah, I know. You're right. Actually,
4 years?
I mean, it was.
You went it for ages.
But they really did seem... I mean, Sam Aston was... he was one of the best little things about Coronation Street back in those days. And I think he honestly did learn a lot of his trade. I mean, I know the Astons as a dynasty had many actors in there. He's got older siblings that did other things. But I would imagine that Sam did look up to Bruce Jones as a bit of a mentor when he was younger.
You don't know.
And they... I know, you don't know these things.
You can't assume...
They worked brilliantly together because
they were great on
his
screen.
little Chesney was a wonderful character, and they had real chemistry. And the whole thing with Scylla dragging Chesney down the street, going Uncle Les, Uncle Les. Les really cared for that boy, and in a way, it is a shame that he has only stayed in touch every now and then. Because I quite like the idea that they were a bit more in contact.
If they told me they always spoke on the phone every Saturday, I would have believed it. I don't know why they had to say that they were
talk about
estranged.
the football scores or something, or whatever it is that men talk about. I don't know.
Beer.
Cars. Anyway, there's a lovely little scene at the end of the episode where Ches opens a drawer in the lounge and takes out a photo of him and Les and Fizz and Scylla, and he has a sit down and he says, "Oh, at least Michael, I'll have a bit of company now. Give him a stroke for me, Uncle Les." It was sweet. It didn't pluck on the heartstrings quite as much as a 10-year-old Sam Aston might have done. But
I'm sorry, I was completely unmoved by this.
You said that, didn't you? It's just because you hate Chesney quite intensely.
I hate what they've done to Chesney. I was just so unsympathetic. He just seemed like everything he did was like to work against his own best interests all week, and not just all week, all year, not just all year, like for many years now. He's been the architect of his own demise.
Yeah, but he can't.
And I can't.
It's not his fault that Les has died.
I know, but I'm like, I don't care. Sorry, I don't care. Just don't care.
I'm glad that they.
I cared about Toya and Leanne crying.
I'm glad that they remembered to include Chesney in the whole grieving situation.
I'm sure, yeah,
because
that was
I can
good.
certainly imagine a reality where they planned all the scenes and only had Leanne and Toya.
Yeah.
Remembering it all, and then the fans getting up in arms on Twitter saying, "But what about Chesney?
What about Chesney?" I think that look, I'm sorry that I don't care. I do feel bad about it. I know some people probably did care and found it very touching. Good for you. But I'm hoping that this is a clever way of exploring something with Chesney, because there's something going on here with him, and if it turns out to be nothing, I'm going to be a bit annoyed. But he's getting paranoid. He's getting weird. This van stuff was odd. If he's got some kind of mental break coming because of all of this, and Les's death is part of it, I'm going to say that's quite clever.
Yeah, especially it is odd if Dolly Rose Campbell has actually gone off for an extended period, and it could lead to Chesney having a proper breakdown without him there. But I don't know, Chesney's kind of default expression is sad.
That's my problem with him. He's crying, and I'm like, you're always sad. When are you happy?
Like when would anybody notice the difference?
No, not really. What's wrong, Chesney? You look like someone's died. That was last week.
Ches miserables, eh? So this week's Corrie, I didn't really go a whole lot on. I thought it was okay. I thought it was pretty bog standard throughout the whole of the week. I'm invested somewhat in Carla and Lisa, but it's not my A story. They're not my characters that I was mostly invested in. I thought that the Toya and Nick and Leanne stuff was quite juicy, but I'm more interested in what's to come rather than what happened this week. Lauren, whatever, Chesney in the van. I'm going to give it 3 dreams where you walk out the house with no clothes on out of 5. It was fine. And I'm going to say my character of the week was Leanne.
Oh, I think my character of the week is Leanne as well.
Oh, there we go.
I cannot wait. I really hope this is
what you score in it.
Be explosive.
Did you like it a bit more? I think partly, it's one of these cases of I was watching this on my little phone stream at 11 o'clock at night, and I'm a little bit tired after a hard day's zip lining around. Yeah. And,
what did your children learn this week?
Some of them. It's always nice that some of them conquer their fear of heights.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
And did they learn the power of friendship?
Yeah.
Okay, that's brilliant.
They did a bit of collaboration and teamwork and stuff.
That's nice. I'm going to give this, because I quite enjoyed this. I thought the Swyler stuff was great. I really, really loved the Toya, Nick and Leanne stuff. I thought it was good. I said on the Wednesday's episode, I was like, come on, I want to know what happened to Lauren. And that's not very often that Corrie does that in an episode where it keeps you waiting for something. It's usually like things just happen. You're not really tense, like, ooh.
You're not teased.
It's like with Rowan's trial, which is probably going to be Monday now. What's going to happen? I don't know. Do I care? Not really.
It feels like they've left it too long.
No one cares now.
If they'd have, it's just going to be his comeuppance,
what will happen to Amy's money? I don't know. Yeah. And I don't care because, number one, I thought she was going to get it back anyway, and that's why Cassie managed to convince Ken to use his money on himself and not keep it for Amy.
I thought it was a case of she invested it with sound knowledge of what it was going to be used for, and there was no criminal goings on with it, so she wasn't going to get it back whatever happens.
She doesn't have a leg to stand on because she wasn't actually cottoned, unless they had no plans to make this meditation centre or whatever it is, but which doesn't make sense because they need stuff like that because they're a cult. And number 3, I don't care if she gets it back or not because it's any money on Coronation Street is just a fiction to me now. They've made it so that if you need money, it comes. If they need a story, they take your money away from you. It just means nothing. There's no consequences. It doesn't matter to me whether Amy gets her money back because she's not using it for anything. What's she using it for? Nothing. She's training. She's at university at the moment. She's not using it for that. What's she using it for? No,
I think it's going to be a bit of a disappointment. It's too much time has passed, but with all the other goings on with Nick and Leanne and Toya, hopefully it'll still be quite fun. What are you? Have you got a score that you're going to be giving it?
I'm going to give this week 4.
Wow.
Yeah, viaduct streets.
4 viaduct streets.
Viaduct streets.
Not viaduct streets.
How come Kit can't say viaduct properly when one of his major cases involved a big viaduct where the car was found and a murder happened on the viaduct? Can you imagine they're doing the court case trying to find whether Lauren's guilty or not, and everyone in the jury is like, I can't. That guy keeps saying viaduct really weird. Do you notice that? I can't. I haven't heard anything anyone else has said since.
Can I actually score it 3 haircuts that Adam can't commit to?
Yeah.
The afro, the buzz cut, and the mohawk.
The chin length. The curls.